So, Michael, you know how I do a lot of times, like the hyperbolic YouTuber podcast thing, where I'm like, if I'm dead, if I die in the middle of this podcast, like just shove my body to the side and keep going through the links until we're done.
Yeah.
Well, this week that might actually happen because I'm really sick. Again,
for people who didn't watch the video,
yeah,
he's not meaning like he can play Tony Hawk Pro Skater with his eyes closed.
Yes,
sick.
It's not 360 no scopes. I actually have some kind of the thing that's messed up. I tell you what. Let's talk about it for a second. Welcome everybody back to the RageSelect podcast. Here at RageSelect. I'm Jeff,
and I'm Mike.
I'm not going to be quite as ebullient as because I'm afraid of my voice getting fucked up if I yell too loud. This is about what I got. I got like Chloroseptic and Dayquil and like double coffee going.
Okay.
I can't figure out what it is. I don't have a temperature. I've taken 5 COVID tests, and the last COVID test, I don't know if you know this, the new COVID test for flu as well, and it didn't come out for flu either.
Well, how's your throat feeling?
Gross and numb because of the wild berry Chloroseptic that I sprayed into it right before we started.
When you're not taking it, does it hurt?
Yes, like hell, like garbage hell.
Have you
the fires of 1,000 suns have been rammed down my gullet.
Have you checked if you have strep throat?
No.
That's something you should check on.
Okay. Well, that's a thing for a whole other day.
Yeah.
But for right now, we do have a podcast. It's probably gonna be a little bit more low key than usual because I don't have quite as much vocal tenacity as I did yesterday. But we still have a bunch of stories. We're still going to go over them. That's what's going to happen. So, yeah, let's let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Guys, he's struggling.
Before we start, I watched a movie last week.
Okay.
I watched a movie last week,
What
Michael.
did you watch?
I watched Max 66616.
Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out where you're going with that.
The conclusion of the X Pearl. I guess it's like the X trilogy, right?
Yeah, I think that's what people were just
started with
referring
X,
to
went to Pearl, then it ended up with Max XX scene.
Because Pearl's the prequel, right?
Yes.
So it's like Pearl X and then Maxine.
I would tell people, like, there's a character in X that is an old lady, and that character is Pearl. And Pearl, Mia Goth plays both her character.
She's in
Maxine,
all 3, right?
In X, she plays both Maxine and the old Pearl. And so Pearl then is her as a young woman going into like why she does the things she does in X, and then Maxine is about the Maxine Minx character from X going forward.
Okay, she's in all 3.
Yeah. I think I talked about Pearl a long time ago. I think I even talked about X a long time ago. I kind of watched it out of like obligation. I think that whole thing is like fine. Like I don't think it's doing anything all that interesting. Like the first one is kind of like what if Texas Chainsaw Massacre was also a porno, and it's like
sort of, yeah.
Okay, I guess that's cool. And then Pearl like has like one really really good scene at the very end, and the rest of it's like what if there was a fucked up lady, you guys? And it's like, well, I need a little more than that.
Even the people I know who really like those movies only really likes Pearl that I know of.
Yeah. Like, I feel like there was a lot of weird accolades for X because it had, like, nudity and, like simulated actual sex and stuff.
I think it was it was different enough that it made itself known. And the fact that she did both roles also like really helped to that as well, I think.
And then I think the third one is just really like I'll tell you what, they spent a shitload of money on music licensing because it's set in the 80s and it's got like big hit songs in it, like not just like sound-alikes or stuff, but like actual songs that you would remember from the 80s. It's pretty good. And it's about her like she kind of moving from being an adult film star to trying to get like into actual Hollywood, but her past is coming back and blah 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 blah. It actually had a lot more people in it than I thought. Like Kevin Bacon's in that movie.
Is he really?
As like a sleazy private detective, and I was like, oh shit, that's Kevin Bacon.
I would not have guessed that.
He's basically channeling Jack Nicholson from Chinatown. Like he's walking around in like this white suit. It's kind of a scumbag. It was fine. It was all right. I think that like you could probably watch all 3 of them and they would be fine. But I feel like there's always been a level of hype about them that I've never really gotten into. Yeah. Right. Wait, I actually watched something that I really, really liked. Hold on.
Okay.
I forgot. My brain is so addled with sickness. Oh, fuck. I didn't prepare for this. I was dissatisfied with Maxine Minks, and I wanted to watch something good, so I did my thing where I went on to Rotten Tomatoes. I looked for something that had like over 90 audience and critic rating, and I came across this movie from 2023 that's on Hulu called The Promised Land, and it's Mads Mikkelsen as like a 17th century Danish soldier who gets an edict from the king at the time to go create a settlement on this incredibly barren chunk of land, the Jutland, in like northern Denmark. And it turns out that there's like a real spoiled bitch like Joffrey Baratheon fucking baron that also wants that land, and so he keeps harassing him, and then it's like, you know, the stuff keeps happening and blah blah. And the thing is that it's like, this is a movie about a 17th century Danish farmer, Michael.
Yeah.
And I watched it and I was like, oh, this has a really high score from everybody that watched it. And I was like, but it seems like the sort of movie that I'm going to be just bored throughout. And the thing is that it was like, if you know the kind of movie that that it looks like when you watch it, and it's like, yes, the trials and tribulations of a man homesteading in the Jutland of Denmark. But like every 5 minutes, something really shocking happened, and I was like, it was like they took like the normal kind of drama movie about somebody like in a big vistas, but they were just like, all right, but like if we ever slow down, something has to happen, and then something else happens, and then something else happens. An hour and 45 minutes long. It was really entertaining. It was like I was like waiting to get bored, and then I just never got bored, and the movie was over, and I was like, holy shit, I thought that was amazing.
Well,
so
that's good.
Yeah.
Was it in a different language?
Yeah, it's in Danish. Like, it's a Danish film, subtitles and shit. And I didn't know this. Mads Mikkelsen is Danish, so it's like him in his native tongue doing it.
That's what I was curious about. Because apparently, like, anything he does outside of America, he plays like everyman guy. Yeah. But like in America, he's always like weird European dude. It was
really amazing. I was like, oh, I didn't expect very much, and then I was overwhelmed with what I got, and I was like, oh, it was great. And it's based on like a book. It's kind of fictitious retelling of like the settlers in this area, or blah 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 blah. Good stuff, and just on Hulu, not like Hulu with like Showtime or any of that bullshit. You just
neat.
go to Hulu and watch it.
Good for
and
them.
I wholeheartedly recommend it. So don't watch Maxine Minks try to become a film star. Go watch Mads Mikkelsen try to grow potatoes in northern Denmark.
Than potatoes
in the 17th century. It's actually way more gripping than the blood-soaked streets of 80s Los Angeles. Is watching this guy try to make sure that his potatoes don't die, because that would be the end of his horrible life. So, what about you? Did you watch anything good? Did you play anything good? Do anything good?
I guess I don't remember if I mentioned this before, but I watched the Batman Caped Crusader all the way through.
Oh yeah,
it's 10. I think it's 10 episodes on. It's all on Amazon, and I plowed through it. I was like, I'm just gonna watch a little bit of this. Like the day it came out, which was like the beginning of the month, and it was like a Thursday too, which is why I was like, I'll probably just watch a couple of these. Instead, I just fucking watched all of them because it was so easy. And so it's Bruce Timm again. But he's brought, a bunch more people this time around, like Ed Brubaker works on it, as well as a few other people.
It was, did I see Greg Rucka in one of them?
Yeah, if I remember correctly. I think J.J. Abrams is another producer on it. It was originally supposed to be an HBO show with Kevin Conroy before Kevin passed.
Right.
And then they decided... And then, for some reason, with the infinite wisdom of the HBO or the CEO of WB, he was like, I don't think we want Batman, a Batman show. No one will ever watch a Batman show. That's dumb. And so they were going to scrap it. And they're like, and of course, they're like, hey, who wants this? And Amazon was like, us. What is wrong with you people? I want your Batman show, you stupid idiot. And so they got it. Of course, they got it. And they made 10 episodes of it. Mm-hmm. And it's great. It's phenomenal. It's more of the 1940s. Like, it's supposed to be the 1940s type, like, literal time frame. Yeah. There's no cell phones or anything like that.
They've all got the weird old cards.
When people need to be called, they have to be at home to answer their phone kind of thing. Yep. And so I thought that was kind of fun because there's no longer like, just pick up your cell phone, Commissioner Gordon. It's like, he doesn't have a fucking cell phone, dude. It's the 1940s. Yep. And the voice actor they got for Batman, originally I didn't like like for some reason, like in the commercials that they did, he sounded bad. But when you watch the show, it's just fine.
Yeah.
Like I got used to it as time went on because I kept, you're seeing a Bruce Timm Batman not speaking like Kevin Conroy, and it throws you off for a second. But once you get past that, you're past it. And so it's this great little thing. They've changed certain characters to be slightly different. Penguin is a woman now.
Yeah, I watched the first episode, so I saw that part.
Yeah, and
I wasn't entirely. I mean, like, I don't really care about any of the, like, gender swap, race swap stuff. But to me, it was like, I don't care that you made Penguin a woman. Why isn't the woman penguin short and like a penguin?
It was
like
a little
she's
weird.
a little bit like she's like this tall, kind of like busty, big crooner lady. Like, and
that's
I'm
the
like,
kind of person that you're just like anybody was gonna want to fuck that woman.
right?
That's all I'm gonna say.
But Oswald Cobblepot, he's like a short fucking monster. He's like a Danny DeVito. So if it was like a Danny DeVito but a lady, then I would have been like, yeah, man, I don't care if it's penguin is not.
Well,
like,
that's part of what makes the changes slightly different or slightly interesting is because they are the opposite. A lot of the times they are the opposite of what you probably are expecting from that character.
Yeah.
But like hers, she's a good example. Another one is that Two-Face has a very different type of way of acting than he would like in another show. Harley is her own character that's not. She's not like a high pitched like I'm fucking from Brooklyn or Jersey or whatever accent. She's this therapist who's just kind of a crazy person.
Okay.
And has like this much different persona that whenever she's Harley. Same with some of the other villains that come back, and there's like hints at other villains throughout it as well. But yeah, it's this very noir detective series, and even the animation stuff is very similar to the way it was in Batman the Animated Series. The only difference is like a lot of the lighting isn't as dark as it was because I think they just have a hard time replicating that.
Yeah,
because a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of Batman the Animated Series was actually animated on black paper, which is one of the reasons it's so dark.
Yeah,
because all they did was just fill in stuff instead. Where this is the opposite. So, and there's some instances here and there where like they could have done a little better here on this animation, but not everybody's gonna notice that.
Sure,
like only like me and like a handful of like giant animator nerds are going to notice them.
You're really glossing over the big picture though here, Michael.
What's that?
Batman's ears are angled outward slightly, and it fucking makes me want to kill myself.
Yeah, so if people don't know, he looks more like his original 1939 debut, except he doesn't have the purple gloves. He's also a crazy person.
He also has he's got small gloves. He doesn't have the gauntlets, and his ears stick out a little bit on the sides. And when he's facing 3/4, I'm like, ha ha, oh, I can't see it. Then he turns towards the camera. I'm like, fuck, there it is again.
Yeah, because but yeah, he is a crazy person. Like he doesn't give a shit about Alfred. Like at least in the beginning of the show, he doesn't give a shit about Alfred. He only calls him Pennyworth for the most part. Whenever Alfred's like, hey, maybe you should, be a normal person, he's like, fuck you, crime, kind of thing. And like there's a part with Catwoman where she like tries to seduce him, and he's just like, you're a criminal. I don't care about any of this stuff.
I'm anti-criminal, not pro-criminal.
It's so funny because it's just like I'm so used to like the later Batman nowadays where he's like, I love my family, and this he's just like, everyone can go fuck themselves unless if it involves stopping crime.
Real Frank Miller year one Batman.
It's great. I actually really like it because of it. And then there's some stuff that happens throughout it that like he has the least amount of growth out of everybody, which is really funny because there's an episode where he's given court ordered therapy. And the therapist,
wait, Batman?
Yeah, well, Bruce is because he punches out a reporter.
Oh,
and they're just like, "Hey, I want you to like open up." He's like, "No, I'm good." Character growth is for suckers.
Yeah,
and it's just like interesting to me that like that's the angle they went, but that it helps because all the other character growth is for like everybody else around them.
Okay,
and I think that's really what helps with. I like it a lot. I highly recommend it. I can't say a lot without spoiling lots of it. Sure. Is really the issue. As much as I want to be like, this one episode, this whole thing happens.
I watched an episode and like a half. Or I started the second episode, and then I was like, I could feel myself getting sucked in, and I was like, nope.
There's only a single episode that annoyed me, but it was because somebody was like, what if we threw as many Easter eggs as we physically can in this one episode?
Okay, all right, fair enough.
It kept throwing me out of this story. I'm like, I like the story, but you got to stop making me be like, ooh, that thing, and then that thing. Yeah, it's like, stop it.
I can only point at the TV so many times, you guys.
Exactly.
Okay, well, cool. Well, I also know that I can't I can't do my normal weekend drinking because I'm still fucking sick.
Yes.
So, but I am looking forward to the Umbrella Academy final season just dropped.
Oh,
so
that happened?
yeah, and I've watched all the rest of them, so maybe next week I can talk about that. But in the meantime, we have some gaming news to talk about.
Yes. News.
Yes. I actually found out that Gamescom opening night live is in 2 weeks.
Is it really?
So we'll have like a unified thing to talk about in 2 weeks. But this week, it's a big fat smorgasbord full of mixed nuts and vegetables. And we're starting with Destiny 2. So last week we had the news that Bungie laid off a whole bunch of people.
Yes, just a shit ton of people.
And that a bunch of also one of their projects basically got taken over by Sony. This was in spite of the fact that apparently the final shape sold relatively well.
Yes, but apparently they were already doing so badly that didn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, just to I'll talk about this, and then we can kind of go into it. So they've come out and said that. I don't know why you would do this. It's like Michael, the boat is sinking. You're like, I know what'll help. What if I shoot a bunch of holes in the bottom of it? I'm like, wait, why?
It'll make it go faster, so we can get to sea faster.
So then we'll go all the way under, and then we'll pop back up again. It's like that's not how that works. So no more big expansions for Destiny.
No,
they're going to be making small like. What do they call them? Like some bullshit.
Like bite-sized pieces or something?
They had a thing, let's see, content packs. So instead of annual expansions, they're going to do smaller content packs at launch, and it's like, oh, so this is dead. So this is just dead. Like you're bailing the water out of the bottom of the boat.
Yeah, that specific turn is usually what happens when they're like, we can't keep up with what we're doing.
Yep.
And we don't have the money to make this game last the way we want it to.
Yep.
Because the Avengers game was hinting at the idea that they were going to do something like this, because they had the same issues where they kept making these large expansions and then people would finish them in like a couple of days because gamers are crazy.
Right.
Like you give them anything, they'll figure out how to break it pretty fast.
Yeah.
And so
I beat Shadow of the Erd Tree in like a weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And that thing is like what, the size of another game?
It's like 60 hours or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's like none of this is. There's only so much you can do long term, and Bungie looked like they were able to do it, but it turns out the man behind the curtain was dead.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the big thing is I was looking around this story and I read some stuff where like insiders had said that like Bungie bamboozled Sony with their like projections and what they thought could happen. Like this shit was fully known, like it was well known that they were like on the downward slope. And
they walked into that board meeting, we're worth $1 bajillion, and
right.
And look at all these ratings and stocks and all the things and magic. They're like throwing pennies at them or whatever, like right. Job, and they're like, oh, this is really exciting. They're like, no, this is all illusions.
Well, and then I think that Sony probably got caught up in it because that was in the middle of Microsoft's buying spree,
yes,
right? And they were like, well, we got to have somebody.
Like I think they just bought Bethesda at that point. Like the few months prior to that.
It was around there.
Or something like that.
Or it was right around the early parts of them like considering Activision where Sony was just like, because I think Sony tried to buy FromSoft and FromSoft wasn't selling.
They're like, no, I'm good. Which is good for them.
So, yeah. But then also there was another part of this story, which was that also there is no Destiny 3 in development. And there never was.
Oh my God, really?
Like, Destiny 3 was not a thing. It is not a thing. And was never a thing. Like, they were working on other projects like Marathon and whatever the thing is that Sony's getting. None of that is Destiny 3. And apparently, based on insider information, they just never even started working on any kind of direct sequel to Destiny. And so it's like...
That's amazing.
Wow.
I'm almost impressed at how easily they bamboozled Sony.
You guys should really drag your fucking CEO out into the parking lot and throw him in a dumpster or something. Like,
oh, that guy should be long gone, but he's the only thing that keeps somehow persisting. Him and his many cars.
I suppose, but at this point, the thing is that it's like, look at the state of this company. Like, Destiny 2 is not going to it's not going to have longevity with quote unquote content packs.
No.
Like nobody's going to stick around. They're going to do everything and then they're going to stop playing it. And the content packs are not going to be enough to bring people back.
This is, for people who don't understand, this is the equivalent of like if Fortnite only had those quest packs you can buy for like $10 that give you like a little bit of the V-Bucks.
Right.
And it's always just like shoot 10 guys or something. And it has like the smallest hint at like the idea of something story maybe.
Yeah.
And like that's just there's nothing to those. They last it's like buying trading cards for for a large Magic the Gathering game.
Yep.
But instead of buying like the giant expansion pack for it, you're buying like each pack for like a couple bucks kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's no like you by the time it's worth it, you're better off just waiting for all of the content packs to come out.
Yep.
And then get them all at once.
Yeah, which it's weird because I really do think that this is, I mean, I thought that already happened, but this really is like the actual signpost for like, okay, so Bungie as a developer is getting ready to die.
Yes.
Like Marathon is
completely overtaken.
Unless Marathon comes out and it's like nothing we've ever seen before and it just reignites their audience like from the ground up in a way that we've never seen, like it would have to overperform what a game like Marathon would be by like several orders of magnitude in order to keep this from being the end. Because
it's never going to happen.
Destiny 2 is already a free-to-play game, and content packs are not going to keep it afloat, especially because the Final Shape like finished their story for Destiny 2. So you need to like start a new story. Yeah. They had the smokehead guy with the googly eyes, and it was like the end of that story of him and the Traveler and all that stuff.
I didn't realize that.
So you have to start something new up. It's, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of post-Endgame MCU.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was like, well, what are you going to do next? And they were like, can't we just rest on our laurels for a moment? And I'm like, okay, it's been 2 years. What comes next?
Yeah,
and
what's
they're
the
like,
next idea? Kang, I guess.
Multiverse? So... yeah, I think that this is kind of the beginning of the downhill, the slow downhill trend until they get taken over by Sony and become basically like a workman studio to do, you know, kind of work for hire stuff for Sony. So.
Well, based on the current news that's coming out of it from both them and Sony, this isn't the beginning. This is the middle of it. Like,
well, that's true.
Like Sony's already taken over a lot of things. They've already lost a giant chunk of their workforce. They're, like you said, I didn't even know this part, that Destiny's already done.
Yep.
Like, story-wise, so you're just like, I have nothing else here.
Yep.
And they were very adamant that Destiny as a series could last for billions of years kind of thing. It was like Rick and Morty, 1,000 years, forever and ever. Like, we're going to do this forever. It's like, no, you guys, you lost track of what your idea was, and then just gave up and hoped that, and tricked a company into paying billions of dollars for you. I'm amazed they got away with that.
Yep. And I'm frankly just amazed that their CEO has the chutzpah to fucking stick around. Like,
yeah, he should have just gotten one of his fancy cars and fucking flicked off everybody and drove off. Suitcase full of cash.
You drove one of like the most popular franchises in video games into a ditch. It's like there's no reason this should be in the state it is now. I mean, you've had your second round of firings, and it's like, well, yeah, who's left? Of course, you could only make content packs. You've like shed so many people that who's left? But
yeah, it's a shame because Bungie for a long time, especially when I was really into the Xbox 360, was the company that everybody wanted to work for.
Yep.
B, wanted anything they came out with. And C, when they got free from Microsoft, everybody's like, it's only going to go up from here.
Yep.
Not realizing that apparently Microsoft was the only thing keeping them from doing stupid shit.
Well, I mean, the thing is that Destiny worked. Like, it took a while, but it worked. The problem is that, like, nothing works forever. Nobody plans on what you do once the thing starts to go. Actually, maybe they did. Maybe they thought Marathon was a thing. But I don't know. Whatever it is, I wish that... I wish more of their executives would get fired.
Yeah, the actual people who need to get fired, because everybody agrees, was the management team, and then the only things that, like, not a lot of them got fired for.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Sony online video games, there's a new Helldivers 2 controversy.
I heard about this because the subreddit fucking has lost its mind.
Yep. So the new what do they call them? The order, major order, or whatever, the freedom packs.
Are you talking about the name of? What are you talking about? The name of the new
freedom flame thing.
Oh, the new Warbond.
Warbond, yeah, is all fire based, and they just put it out, and they just nerfed fire.
No, they just nerfed every fucking thing on there again.
And the thing is that, like, you know, normally you'd think, like, well, gamers they complain about stuff, but like no, like what was it, the Pillstat guy or whatever came out on Twitter and was like, what it seems that it feels like every time someone finds something fun, the fun is removed, and I'm gonna go talk to the developers about this because it seems like for Helldivers that the way to do it isn't to nerf fire, it's to adjust the health of the enemies.
Yes.
Right? Like leave the player power where it is, but then maybe up slightly some of the like enemy power so that it's not just a cakewalk.
Well, the main issue is that what they do is that they nerf things and then but they don't up anything else whenever they do the nerf. Like they just do the nerf and then the game's just fucked.
Yeah.
Because nothing else there's nothing strong enough to do anything anymore because they didn't bother. It's like the equivalent of just being like, hey, I love my fancy new car because it drives really fast. It's like, yeah, that's cool. We're going to nerf how much gas you have, like, because you're going too fast.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but I still need to get to places. And yeah, we're also not going to do anything else to, like, make your mileage last longer.
Right.
Like, it's just like, what is the point of doing this? All you've done is taken things away and given me nothing in return.
Or, you know, if fire is too powerful, that's fine. Wait until the next Warbond and then nerf fire while everybody's worried about the laser packs in the next thing, right?
And they're doing the new fucking expansion thing they're doing, or whatever it's called, the escalation freedom, or whatever, escalation freedom, I think is the name of it. And they're like, and when he mentioned that, like, that quote that you mentioned earlier, that was months ago. Yeah. And they're very much like, yeah, we're going to listen to you guys and just not do what we've just done.
Yeah. So
it's very frustrating.
I don't know. I mean, these are kind of like the perils of an online game. Like, on the other side, like, I'm sure there's some kind of calculus going on behind the scenes. It's like, if we leave fire like this, every single major order that we put out is going to be completed in like a day and a half. Everybody's going to use fire for everything all the time. There's probably some kind of calculus, but like you gotta be able to handle it better than just like, okay, I'm gonna make the game less fun for everybody so that it's fairer. And it's like, nobody wants that. We all came to these for like a power fantasy, not for like fair rules.
This is a PvE. Like, why do you need to balance the fighting CPUs thing? Like, it'd be one thing if it's a PvP game. Yeah. Like fighting games, they do shit like that all the time because they're balancing things out to make sure that the game doesn't have super OP characters because it's a versus game. You're not fighting anybody. Right. You're working together. Like, give them the stupid powerful weapons. Sure. It doesn't matter.
What's the problem?
Like, I generally don't understand what the issue is here.
Just put more bugs and more bots, maybe.
Yeah, just make all the guns stronger instead of just being like, why is only this one strong gun being used? Because all the other ones aren't strong enough.
Yeah, exactly.
What's wrong with you people? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Let's see from there in more like frustrating developer news. We got this actually came out kind of towards the end of last week, but I didn't get it kind of in the news cycle. There was a new report that would talk to a bunch of anonymous developers that worked with Apple Arcade.
Okay.
And apparently Apple Arcade is a nightmare to work for.
I'm generally not surprised by this because I didn't feel like a lot of creators were working with Apple Arcade.
Yep.
Like, especially with the fact that they're like, look at all these, like, because it's Apple. Like, you think everybody would have jumped immediately to go over there. Yeah. But then, like, we got, like, what, a handful of things out of it?
Well, apparently there's a fair amount of things on it. The problem is that one of the complaints is that Apple will give people, it's like Epic Games. They give them a chunk of money up front in order to make something specifically for the Apple Game Store. They make something for Apple Arcade. They put it on Apple Arcade, but they don't promote anything that's on Apple Arcade. No. And apparently the communication with Apple, like a lot of the different devs have said that like it'll take 3 weeks to get a response from Apple. Like, some of these games desperately need updates, but like if you send them a request to do an update, you won't hear back for fucking 3 weeks when you're just sitting there. There's part of the story where they said for localization that from Apple requested 1,000 screenshots of the game in different like languages to prove
insane.
that it would work, and they were like, no. Nobody's gonna. I'm not paying somebody to do that. That's fucking ridiculous.
That's absolutely batshit insane.
So it sounds like they basically just like Apple Arcade, kind of similar to some of the other like kind of lower tier Amazon Luna maybe comes to mind of just like they wanted to be in on the gold rush, and they kind of made a push in the very beginning, and then when it became clear that it wasn't like an absolute gold mine on day one, that they just put this shit way on the back burner. Like they said that it felt like some of the people said that they felt like it was just like that working with devs was a quote unquote necessary evil.
Oh my goodness.
Not something like had to be done. And it's like, this is fucking video games, man. Like, you know, you can't it doesn't run itself. You have to like, there has to be a hand on the wheel, my man.
Well, the thing is that it's another great example of big tech not understanding a thing that they have created.
Yes.
Because every time this happens, then I'm not, like you said, Amazon Luna is another good example of this, because I haven't heard jack shit about Amazon Luna. Google Stadia was a great example of this, although Google Stadia at least kind of tried, because they were giving stuff out, like they were promoting as much as they could. The problem was they were promoting a product that didn't make any sense to begin with.
Yep.
Apple Arcade kind of makes sense. Like the only difference is that, because you know there's millions of Apple users. It's one of the biggest, like, you know, fucking things that people use iPads all the time. People give kids iPads all the time.
And so, I mean, it seems like a unified platform. Yeah.
And like and yeah, since everything is unified, like you just mentioned, because one of the main reasons Android phones don't get as many games as Apple does is because of how many different stats and stuff of Android phones there are,
right?
Whereas iPhones are very unified, so you can just do one thing and it'll work for the most part in most newer versions of an Apple product. And so this seemed like a good idea, but Apple just was like you said, the second, like 5 minutes after they started, they're like, I guess I'm good, and then just left it running. For some reason,
there's a bunch of different games on there that like they really didn't promote. Like I was dragging. Like that Ninja Turtles game.
I didn't even know it existed.
There was that that I think it's on the Switch now, but like the Pokemon developer made like a horse racing card game.
That's right. Yeah.
And it'd been like in limbo for years, like a DS game. They put a port of that on there, and it was great. There's a Star Trek Hero Battler auto battle game that's on there. I did a fucking dojo for it on RageSelect. Like Fantasian, that thing from the guy that made Final Fantasy 1 was on there for a long time. Like they had stuff, but and you never fucking heard about it. You didn't see ads for it anywhere. So
I always forget it even exists, though. Actually, one of the funny things is I thought Apple Arcade was canceled ages ago.
Yep.
Every time it comes back up, it's like, oh, is that still a thing? I thought they ended that.
I think it still is. But yeah, they're horrible at marketing it. So,
and I'm glad that some of the games have escaped it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Let's see. We got a report from Microsoft about, or from Blizzard, basically, about the unionization that just happened with them.
Oh, okay.
And how a lot of it was kind of like based on, or was like kind of spurred on by the controversies at Activision. Like when it became clear that like management wasn't going to do jack shit, and then when it became clear they were going to get bought by Microsoft had like specifically a not pro-union but like a neutral stance that they would not interfere with anything. And this,
it makes them look great when because they're the FCC was breathing down their neck.
Yeah,
like they're like because they needed to look good in any way, and this was the best possible way and time for these unions to like start up.
Yes. Because they talk about how, like, Activision, when they were owned by Activision, Activision and Bobby Kotick were like so anti-union that people were just like afraid of even discussing the concept because they literally like it was like taboo. You get fucking like smacked around for talking about unions in Activision.
Oh, that's for a lot of places. That's how it was when I worked at Sam's Club.
Yeah.
I remember there was an entire. It was like a borderline like Fallout propaganda film that was shown about the horrible things of unions. If you see if a union rep walks up to you, you basically go tell him to go fuck himself, you commie.
Right.
I was just like, what am I watching?
Yeah. I it's weird because any like actual adult, and they're like, unions are bad for everyone. Don't you want to like negotiate individually with the corporation and all of our lawyers? And I'm like, no,
that's a terrible idea.
I don't want that.
I was like 18 or something at that time.
I feel like you're talking to somebody who has never had a job before. I have had jobs, so I know what you fucking shitlickers are. I know like what your deal is and how you're just looking to fuck us all. You just want to fuck everybody.
I remember when there were like talks about trying to unionize Walmart, and there was some sort of like demonstration in South Austin.
Yeah.
And I remember the manager of the Sam's, like the big like head manager, walking up to me like, if you see any of them, I need you to tell me right away. And I'm like, and the way he was saying it made it sound like he's like, I'm gonna murder some motherfuckers.
Jesus.
And I was like, this is getting kind of weird. Okay, I'll let you know, I guess, question mark.
Yeah.
It was fucking crazy.
Anyway, it's an interesting read, just kind of basically saying that, like, you know, before the unionization effort, they didn't really have an outlet for any of the... Because I guess, you know, people may forget, but, like, that shit with Activision Blizzard in 2020 was a thing. Like, that was a real fucking thing.
We had a news
like,
story every 20 minutes, I felt, about the horrors of working for them.
Yep.
And the horrors of the people who worked for them. And like there was always a new horror.
Yep.
Like I don't remember how long it was where me and you were just like, here's another one.
Yep.
Here's another one.
Yep.
Here, like I bet you one of you could probably tell us. I don't know if you should. How many weeks we kept doing a news story on that because it just kept coming up.
Yep. In fact, that was the reason that they got bought by Microsoft, right? Was they were put in such a weak position from all of the
it was the best time
press.
to strike, yeah.
Yeah, that it was like, well, this is a good excuse to buy them and then say we'll clean it up.
Because they're whatchamacallit, they're what's the word I'm looking for? Not price.
Value?
Yeah, their value kept going down.
Yes.
And so that was they struck right then and there.
Yep. Let's see. Well, speaking of Microsoft and some weird shit, how about some good news?
Okay.
So we got the news that Wolfeye Studios is making a new immersive sim game. Wolfeye Studios is the studio that made Weird West.
Oh.
They're staffed by some ex-Arcane people, and they put out a few screenshots of this kind of an Americana, steampunky Tesla kind of thing. It's going to be a first-person game, kind of like Dishonored, in this immersive sim. And they also managed to pick up. I read like 8 stories to figure this out because nobody would just put it in the story. I guess it's somewhere between 5 and 10 of the people that were let go from Arcane Austin.
Oh.
And they rolled them into that team. And I'm like, great, that sounds amazing.
That sounds fantastic.
That
actually
sounds like a dream team doing what they love, because Weird West was cool. It was an immersive sim. You bring in some of the experienced people that worked on fucking Prey and Dishonored. Yeah, give it to me. I'm all about it.
Yeah, this is a great idea.
Yeah, so they're just getting started and working on that, and I'm all about it. All about it. So, good news for everybody all around. Let's see. We got a director. We got an interview with the director on Dragon Age Veilguard, or Dragon Age the Veilguard, I believe.
Something like that, yeah.
Talking about
the new one.
Yeah, the one that's getting ready to come out. About what did they learn from their mistakes.
Was it finish a game?
Apparently what it was the like I don't know. I'm really like kind of split on this, because what they said that they learned was like know what your strengths are and do your strengths. So we're doing our strengths. We're making a single player action RPG, etc., etc. And then they put a lot of the failure of Anthem, I guess, on like the idea of making a live service online co-op game.
I can kind of see that thought process.
Yeah, but those motherfuckers, that's disingenuous as shit.
No, it is. I'm just saying, like, the issue is that saying that is not what happened, though, because we all know what happened.
Yeah.
It's very well documented what happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much like, hey, we've tried making a game we've never done before. It was, hey, we tried making a game we never done before, and then we were hoping it would work on good vibes.
Right.
Like what was the term? BioWare
magic. Yeah.
Like the BioWare magic will save us. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
They built an institutional culture where you could basically just fuck around for like the first 90% of your dev time, and then the last 10% everybody would bust ass for like a year in order to like get everything together and get it out there. Because like if having like co-op multiplayer PvE slash PvP type of stuff was not like your strengths, then why the fuck was it in Mass Effect 3? And why the fuck was it in Dragon Age Inquisition? Like, those had multiplayer components.
And they were actually kind of fun, some of them. I really liked the Mass Effect one quite a bit.
I'm going to say it again, Michael. This is not just the fucking cough medicine talking. Like, I don't think that Anthem was a great game, but I liked flying around in Iron Man armor, shooting stuff. Like, I thought that part of the game actually played relatively well. I thought the story was, like, kind of interesting. Like, it needed work, for sure. But people treat Anthem like it's... I don't know. I was going to say Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, but I kind of like that, too. So maybe...
Well, that's all you're saying is that you're treating it the same way. But, no, the main issue with it, in my opinion, especially with what they've just said, is that in their heads... The reason it didn't work is because our strong suit is dicking around for a long time and then haphazardly making a single player game.
Right.
Because those are the only types of games that can work on.
Yeah. Long-term
multiplayer games are supposed to be worked on the entire time.
Right.
And then you finish the game.
Yeah.
Like they did, like it's the reason why so many of those big multiplayer games fail so badly, because all they think is that if you just slap a few multiplayer components into something, call it a live service, and then just not make enough content for it, like it's an even more extreme version of we'll patch it later.
Yeah,
because there's nothing at all, so you're not even patching. You're just adding. You're just literally making the game as like right after it came out.
Yeah,
it might as well be a beta.
Right.
And the problem is that like in their heads that was fine. And they did it at the worst possible time, which was when Fortnite was at its like fucking peak of power.
Yeah.
So they looked even worse. And then Apex came out and made them look even twice as worse.
Yeah.
It was insane. It was an insane time frame.
Well, apparently this time around they're not trying to shoehorn in multiplayer, and they're not trying to throw in a bunch of microtransactions, so they are just trying to poop out a single player RPG game. I never cared for Dragon Age.
I didn't either. I have some friends that liked it. And
I've cooled quite a bit on Mass Effect over the years, to the point where I'm like, what is even the point of view, BioWare? I don't understand. Like, you're just going to keep like crapping out the same story over and over again, I guess, sure.
Well, they're not even doing that, I feel like, anymore, because I don't feel like they've even done that in a long time.
Yeah. I don't even remember what happened in Dragon Age Inquisition. I beat that game.
I don't either.
And I don't remember what happened in it. I remember what happened in 2. I never beat 1. I remember what happened in Mass Effect. I definitely remember most of what happened in Mass Effect. But, like, Dragon Age Inquisition, I still think was kind of a mediocre fart noise.
There's a reason they haven't made it any of those games in a long time.
Yeah.
Those games, the last attempts at literally both of those franchises did not do well for them.
I don't know. Maybe they're going to bring it all back. I think so far a lot of the marketing stuff that they put out there.
How are they fucking doing yard work?
The yard work at my house. I don't know. They know when we record. I turn on the light outside when I'm recording, and that's the moment that they come to blow the grass off of the front of my house.
If people are wondering why I'm reacting that way, it's because we've literally done different days. Like randomly,
yeah,
as if they know.
Like, we're recording this podcast on a Friday, and I feel like usually we record the podcast on a Thursday, and it's like, how the fuck are they doing the yard work? Or when we're doing dojos on a Wednesday, and it's like, how are they doing yard work? It's like they always know.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
So dumb.
Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break because I have to cough a whole bunch. But we're going to come back. We got a bunch more news stories. So stick around, and we'll be right back. Boy, I could have worded that better, but I don't know. Maybe they'll be done blowing my fucking grass by then. And we're back. And don't fear, everyone. We have more news. There's more news to go over. And let's see. The next news story is that Fallout London has a huge update that is coming that should be fixing most of the crash problems that happened before.
Okay.
I think I actually reported on this a little bit last week that was their intention, but they are starting with like a hot fix and then like a bigger fix. And then also apparently the team that did it, Team Fallen, is offering like one-on-one troubleshooting in their Discord. So like if you have problems, you can literally go on there and talk to the developers directly.
It probably helps them figure out what the issues too.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know that it like, did anybody believe that like a giant free total conversion for Fallout was going to come without like bugs?
It's Fallout. Like it's a tradition, even if it's not made by the actual team.
Yeah, I just consider it to be like more authentic to the actual experience.
Exactly.
So, but
it's just like a normal Bethesda game.
Yeah, I actually think that the first patch may actually be out already, but I didn't look it up. But I don't know. Maybe look it up if you want to play Fallout London. Let's see. We got some fun news from Larian about Baldur's Gate 3. You know, they do those like infographics where they put out a bunch of like facts about stuff that happened in the game and like how many players did a specific thing.
It's been like a year, right?
Yeah, it's their 1 year anniversary, 1 year after launch. So they put out a bunch of new stuff, which is interesting. Apparently 1.9 million players were turned into a cheese wheel. I was not turned into a cheese wheel. I don't even know how that works. I think it's from the gin that's in like the third act. It did say 3.5 million players paid a visit to some friendly dinosaurs. That was my favorite part of all of Baldur's Gate 3 because I was a bard and I was not a damage dealer, and I got transported to a prehistoric land full of raptors, and all I had to use were my bard spells. And I had a bard spell that was basically like it was like merciless mockery, and when you do it, it like lowers the hit chance for the person like that you do it to.
Oh, okay.
And I had like I didn't have a lot of like really strong weapons, so it would take me like several rounds to kill these dinosaurs. So what I would do is I would start every round by hitting them with merciless mockery, and then for like 3 rounds, all of their attacks were like way lowered. So basically, I just went there and talked a lot of shit to raptors, and then just like slowly stabbed them to death. And then every 3 rounds, I'd be like, "Also, you fucking look stupid. What are those feathers? Nobody likes those." They'd be like, "Oh," and then I'd like stab them some more. So
that's kind of the image of that is funnier than it should be.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. It was amazing because the only way I was able to get through it, I couldn't just like directly. I didn't have enough like offensive spells. I had like buff spells and stuff. So the way I could get through was by depowering and demotivating the raptors,
talking shit to raptors.
Yeah,
it's like the opposite of that Chris Pratt pose.
Yep. Apparently, only 141,000 people have managed to complete honor mode.
What's that?
That's like Iron Man, where if you die, it deletes your save game.
Completely forgot about
1.2 million playthroughs ended in defeat. 76% of those people honorably let their save game be deleted, but apparently there's an option where like 24% then continued in a lower difficulty mode, basically in a custom mode.
I feel like a lot of those defeats were probably people just fucking around too.
Yeah. 93% of the people that played Baldur's Gate 3 played as a custom character.
That makes sense.
Only a few played as the origin characters, and it looks like the top classes were Elven Paladin. Bunch of fucking rubes.
Yeah, that's actually somehow the least interesting thing on there.
Yeah, but if you know D&D, you know that like they get a lot of bonuses and they're like way overpowered and shit, which is
still though.
Yeah.
You have to be all about God and shit.
I was also a little bit perturbed that of all of the like they also went through like depending on the race, like what people chose as their class. And with halflings, like it was a small majority that were monks. And like halfling monk, that's amazing. You get to freaking go up and freaking beat the shit out of people. It's
punch
great.
People in the balls.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff in here. Apparently, 658,000 people had sex with Halcyon the Druid. Of those, 70% got down and dirty with him as a person. Only 30% chose the bear.
That is interesting.
I would have thought the bear would have been higher up on the list.
I thought so too, but that's probably why they wanted to let people know.
Yes.
You got to get those numbers up is what they're saying.
Yes. What was the other one? Oh, the other one that I thought was really stupid was... what was it? It was like the vast majority of people. Oh yeah. Okay. So the Act 1 celebration night is like one of the first places where you get a chance to romance somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And of the romance options, the vast majority, 32.5%, romance Shadowheart. I do not understand why people fucking like Shadowheart.
Which one was Shadowheart?
Shadowheart's like the gloomy emo elf cleric who got her like past erased, and only 13.5% got with the girl Karlach. I don't know how you're not fucking getting down with Karlach. Shadowheart is like, I mean, you know, no offense or anything.
Oh yeah, she's the basic bitch.
She's the basic bitch. I'm like, you're in D&D. Like, get busy with a bear. Fucking demon. Like, come on. What are you doing? But
no, yeah, Karlach was definitely the one that you guys should be doing. You guys are stupid.
Yeah. For Act 3, when it came to like the main romance part, like there's like the culmination of the romance in Act 3.
Yeah.
48.8% got with the Shadowheart thing. Only 17.6% went out on a date with Karlach, which is what you should do. But unfortunately, the lowest percentage was 12.9% of players who romanced Lae'zel, and I'm like, I'm not entirely sure why you would want to romance Lae'zel. Lae'zel's a thoroughly unpleasant character.
Sure, I guess. Yeah, go for it. Whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Apparently, those 63% of characters decided to romance there's an Illithid character that you could get a romance scene with.
Okay.
1.1 million players got down with the Illithid character. 63% of them chose that character in like chose the sex scene in like a regular person form, and then the other 37% decided to go full tentacle monster porno. So
good for you guys.
I'm glad when companies do this stuff because it's pretty fun. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Let's see from there. Diablo 4 has a new interesting glitch. Speaking of action RPGs, this has already been like taken away, but apparently there was a rogue dagger that was busted in a weird way that was like multiplying the XP that people were getting off of it.
Oh geez.
And there's a video that people that went around on Twitch where somebody went from, what was it? They went from level like 29 to 65 in like one kill.
Oh my god. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
29 to 63. They were just playing the game and they were level 29 and they killed a person, and then it was just like, boom, you're level 63 now, and it was like, oh shit.
Jesus Christ.
So
1 second is what he said.
Yep. It's just as soon as you beat him, bam. They've apparently turned that off and they're fixing it. Apparently, it just removes whatever the special ability of that particular dagger is.
It's some sort of percentage thing that just fucked up.
Yeah. Sometimes I have dreams, Michael, of just making a broken video game, you know, just so people can have fun. Like Saints Row 4 was broken as shit.
Yeah, and I
loved
it like that. I love that. Yeah, there needs to be more just completely broken games that nobody bothers fixing.
Yep. Let's see. We got the full-on announcement for Black Ops 6's Zombies is going to have full Zombies mode.
Oh, they're coming back with the zombies.
Coming back with the zombies. They put out a little cutscene of the characters from the last Black Ops busting out of prison. And they actually, you know, say what you will about Call of Duty, they make a very good trailer. This trailer, we can't hear it because it wouldn't work, but they use Dragula as the backing music.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm like, oh, that's perfect for this. So it's going back to round-based instead of like an open world. I think they had like an open world zombies.
People hated that open world one.
Yeah. So this one's more round-based as previously. as before. And there are a couple of interesting new additions that are being made. One is if you're playing by yourself, you can apparently kind of suspend mid-round. You can like quit without losing your progress. But the biggest thing is that apparently you can... There's a new like guided mode that will give you like the checkpoints and the things you're supposed to do instead of having you have to figure that shit out, which is what has kept me from enjoying a lot of the zombies modes where I'm just like, well, I don't know what to fucking do next.
Yeah, I had a hard time with that myself.
So
I had friends who loved doing the zombies mode every chance they got.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Actually, that makes me more interested in trying out the zombies mode. There's a few new like weapons and some new different classes and stuff, and the power ups and stuff that you can get. But with a little bit of guidance, I actually would consider playing it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, the zombies has been a very big staple of Call of Duty for quite some time, and there was a large gap where they didn't do it one year, if I remember correctly, and then the open world just rubbed people the wrong way, and they just didn't like it.
Right. From last year. Oh yeah, also there's a bunch of new like kind of like weird like in RE4 when you shoot somebody's head and then it turns into a giant centipede type of thing.
Oh, okay.
Where like dead zombies will then spawn like kind of weird the thing monsters that'll pop out.
See, what they should do though is they need to bring back the mode that had all the presidents in it, because you've already have a Ronald Reagan model now. You might as well make the others. Is all I'm saying.
That's true. In fact, wait, don't they have a whole bunch of models in that? Did they have like we saw some of the trailers for it was like Margaret Thatcher and like Bill Clinton. I mean, it's like in the 90s, right?
It was this huge thing where you're just a bunch of different politicians. It was fucking crazy as shit. I loved it.
I think the one you're talking about, well, that was like Reagan, Nixon, Castro, and like...
I want to say Kennedy was in it, but it's been a while.
That? Yeah.
It was a weird time frame.
It was very strange.
It was a lot of fun. But they should do that again. Just use all those models that you've just done.
Yeah. The nice thing about this, of course, is that Black Ops 6 is going to be on Game Pass. So
yeah, that's right.
I could try it out without having to fucking shell out $70 whole for it. So, but yeah, looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool indeed. Fortnite, speaking of online video games, had an update this week that was kind of interesting. Fortnite announced that they are going to start putting things that were in the battle pass into the store in rotation.
Oh my God, finally.
It used to be that if there was something that was in the battle pass, like you couldn't get it after the battle pass was expired,
yes.
Right?
Many skins people have never been able to get again because of this fucking thing.
No, Michael, don't you want the bad Spider-Man skins? Don't you want the crappy Spider-Man skins?
I have the one Spider-Man skin I could know, the two that I could buy.
Yeah.
That it's a Far From Home one, so it's that black and red one, and that weird Spider Zero armor one they made. And
right.
But the only other Iron Man you can get is the stupid one with a weird fucking head, and the Deadpool for a long time was just like him as like a raven looking dude. It was fucking weird as shit.
Yeah.
Like the ones that you're like, I really want that character. It's like, yeah, good luck with that. Yeah. Like it's just not gonna happen. And they keep making Lego versions of some of them.
Right.
Like, hey, we made the Lego version of the normal Spider-Man. Cool. Can I get him? No.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? It's like, fuck you.
So the big thing here is that if the character has been it's got to be 18 months. So it's a year and a half after the character was available. I read the whole FAQ and the thing on the website. And it was like, can any character that was on the battle pass be then now put in the store in rotation? Yes. Will every character that was in the battle pass be put in the store rotation? No.
I figure that was the answer for that.
We will choose as are needed because I'm sure that there are some that are going to be more interesting than others. I'm kind of surprised.
Probably licensing things too.
That they managed to hold out this long on this because like
I think part of it comes down to the fact that they're worried that they'll start losing numbers, and it's all anybody talks about right now on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because every new time there's an update about something, there's one guy, minimum, being like, I can't fucking play as Spider-Man.
Right.
Or I can't play as Superbad.
And that guy is
Jones
you. That's you. You're the one saying
I'm one of them.
I can't play as Spider-Man. If
nobody's saying it, I'm saying it at least. But like, yeah, there's always like large posts about people being like, if you just let me give you money,
right,
I would just buy the goddamn thing.
Yes.
And they just won't. And there's so so many characters.
But Michael,
that are behind that thing.
I paid real world money for all the My Hero Academia skins, and then I couldn't bring myself to use them because the idea of fucking Deku shooting a submachine gun at somebody was just like, well, that's not Deku. Like that when that season happened, it was like, well, the Doom guy's in there, and that makes sense. The Doom guy shooting a machine gun makes sense for anybody. Do you really want to play as Spider-Man shooting an RPG at fucking Rick Sanchez?
I've already done it with those other outfits,
well,
so it's not going to stop me.
All right,
but I do
enough.
understand like the idea of not wanting to use Aang with a machine gun,
Right.
which I remember when they announced that. I'm like, why Aang of all people,
Right.
with a gun? But sure, I guess
It makes a lot. I mean, like, Leon Kennedy. That works.
Yeah.
Power armor from Fallout. Yeah, that
Solid
works.
Snake.
Like,
yeah, all that makes sense to me. But
Geralt of Rivia, not so much.
Yeah, like
not so much.
Like I have Wolverine now, and I'm just like, I kind of just want to stab people, but I can't because that's not his thing.
Yeah, because it's not a stabby game.
Yeah, it's not
a shooting game.
Even if I have the claws, they do nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Man, Deadpool would be a great skin for. He's so wacky.
Well,
that
he's
it would
already
be like,
he's on there now. I know.
oh, okay.
He used to be one of the Battle Pass ones.
Oh,
He was a Battle Pass one, but there's a new version of it now that's called the comic version. Because the same with Wolverine, because Wolverine also is a Battle Pass one.
Oh, okay.
So they made like a cell shaded version of both of them.
Oh,
and they have like battle damage on them.
Okay.
And so they look more comic booky. And some people actually like them better than the Battle Pass versions.
Fair enough. I don't know. I'm kind of past I did my Fortnite for 2 weeks, and now I'm just like, meh.
I go back every now and then, but they announced another one that I want, so I'll probably use him whenever it comes out. I don't know if it's in the news or not.
Let's see. Speaking of online stuff, the Dead by Daylight 2v8 mode. Were you on when we talked about their announcement for this?
I definitely was not.
Okay. Dead by Daylight, they announced that they were going to be running a time-limited 2v8 mode. So instead of 1v4, they were going to have these special maps that were for 2 killers and 8 survivors.
Oh.
And they had to adjust everything, right? Because you can't have just the regular rules.
Yeah.
And it was going on, and it was about to expire, and they basically extended it. So it'll be running until Friday of this week. They said that they didn't expect it to be as, apparently 40% of all matches were just this mode when it was active.
It's a brand new mode. People love shit like that.
And they're doing it as a beta test to work it into being a canon mode in the game.
They should. That would be a great idea.
But the thing is that it's every map has to be redone to account for it, et cetera, et cetera.
You just need new maps is really what it comes down to.
So, yeah. But, yeah, apparently people were having trouble getting into it, so they decided to extend it by another 2 weeks, and by the time you hear this, there'll be 1 week left. So, yeah, go check it out if that's what you're into.
Them. Now Chucky and Jason and whoever's there can hang out and kill things together.
You know who else is going to be there, Michael? Freddy Fazbear.
Yeah,
They announced that the FNAF and Dead by Daylight are doing a crossover. So some point this summer, we're probably going to be getting. I mean, that just makes too much sense.
I'm amazed it hasn't happened already.
I am too,
especially with when the movie came out. I figure that's when they would have done that.
Yes. It makes too much sense. They're giant. They would work perfectly. You could already think of what kind of powers they would have.
There was a great meme I saw because it's making fun because I don't know I'm pretty sure we talked about it already. Was the Belmont thing.
Oh, that's later.
But
there's trailers.
But there's a great meme where it's like Richter and Simon hanging out with the Smash Brothers guys,
right?
And then the other one's him, Trevor in a dark room with fucking Freddy Fazbear in the background.
right. Yeah,
it's just those poor guys.
Yeah. So again, like you said, I'm kind of amazed it hasn't happened already. Yeah. So. We'll see how it goes.
It's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah.
But will it be a pizza place is really what it comes down to.
That's true.
Or maybe it's a ball pit. Who knows?
In other movie and TV news, there was a big interview that came out about the Yakuza Like a Dragon show that keeps making me more and more nervous about the Yakuza Like a Dragon show.
No, it makes me disappointed every time I hear new stuff about it.
Yeah. What was the one thing that they said? They were like, I told them not to play the games before they did the filming on it.
And then
they announced the guy.
It will be side quests. I'm like, fuck you, dude.
They announced the guy from Ninja House. Is that what it's called?
I have no idea.
That weird Netflix thing is the brother Nishikiyama. I just can't. they look like babies.
No.
They look like little tiny babies. They look like little baby men. And you can put them in a suit, but they're still going to look like tiny baby men. Like, they're supposed to be these 7 foot tall, hard ass Yakuza scumbags, and they look like tiny K-pop babies. Michael, I don't know what to do.
Well, Jeff, see, this is gonna sound bad the way I'm gonna say this.
Yeah,
Japanese people aren't very tall. Well, it's very difficult to find somebody who's that big.
Okay,
and multiples of them.
Okay, Tom Cruise is an actor that we pretend is 6 foot tall for years. Okay, like you can put the shoes on, you can shoot Lord of the Rings style, you can make them look like they're fucking 8 foot tall Balrogs. My problem is with the faces. Their faces look like babies. They look like 12-year-olds. Like, they look like the I don't know. They just don't look like the characters. And I'm not expecting it to be very good, to be honest. Yeah.
It's more because I just like, not just because of the stuff you're saying, it's because it's such a strange series that some of the fun of that series is the weirdness of it.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they're going to do any of that.
Like, these are the two guys. This is Kiryu Kazama, and this is Nishikima, his brother. That, like, that's the whole point of the first arc. And then you go back up to these guys. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, look at the poster. Nishikima doesn't even have this long hair. Like, I'm not saying that it has to be exactly 1-to-1, but there was a dichotomy with the two brothers. Two brothers. Like,
and then the Yakuza attacks.
And the Yakuza attack. I don't know. All
I know is I'm just bummed there's not going to be a sequence where he sings karaoke. That's all I'm saying.
Like,
they've admitted this, by the way.
What drew me? Here's a quote from the guy that's playing Kiryu Kazama. What drew me into the story that I feel has a global sensibility is the orphans who don't have a family, craving and desperate to form a human relationship. That's the core essence of it all, and the element that makes it the most relatable. Like, no, it doesn't. It's when Kiryu Kazama hits a guy with a bicycle, and the guy says, like, "Hey man, you bumped into me. You gotta give me $2,000." Then he hits him with a traffic cone until his head explodes, and we're all like, "Yeah, man, cool."
Yakuza is a series that is weird as shit, that has sort of a serious story in it, but it has to be kind of wacky to make it work.
No, but it's a melodrama.
Yeah,
like it does have a story. But it's like a Shakespearean tragedy by way of, like, fucking Yokohama scumbags. Like,
well, that's what makes it silly though, because it's like if this is gonna sound weird, but if, like, the CW had made Yakuza, I think it would have worked.
I think so too. I don't know.
It would have been melodramatic as fuck, and I would have loved it.
I don't know.
It would have been like Riverdale, because Riverdale went batshit insane apparently as it went on.
Here's another quote. I think it's not the right approach to just try to please the fans. It's more about coming from the inside and being authentic. So it's a big challenge and it's pressure, but I think that's the place that we need to come from.
You know who else said something similar about that?
Yeah.
The guy who made Halo.
Yeah, I don't know. They even quote here about this, like, this isn't a show that needs $20 million spaceships blowing up for it to work. Like, yeah, you just need to cast the right people. And I don't think you did that.
No, I don't think they did either, to be honest.
Anyway, I don't know. We'll find out October 24th. I'm sorry, I put this in a cough medicine fueled haze as just another excuse for me to come out and say, like, I don't like it. It doesn't look good. I hope I'm wrong. And that it's great. But
that'll be fine.
But of all the things that you could have adapted, of all the adaptations you could have made, this is the easiest one.
It should be the easiest one.
One.
I remember the last thing I said that for?
Yeah.
Halo.
Well, but that's a lie, because Halo's got, like, special effects and spaceships and a convoluted as ass plot. Like,
it's not, honestly, that plot is the stuff that you need to adapt isn't that convoluted.
It's about a giant space ring,
like you said,
that shoots
Jeff,
at planets.
It's just guy, space marine man, he has gun, fights aliens, wins war. The end.
I don't know.
That's the part you had to adapt. Instead, they made it this weird fucking thing. I don't know. I'm so frustrated by that show.
Well, here's something different though. Sega trademarked Yakuza Wars.
Interesting.
As a new thing, and people are speculating wildly on what does that mean.
I don't know. I have no ideas.
This is from a Rock Paper Shotgun article. Well, okay, so first off, Sega does own Creative Assembly. Creative Assembly makes the Total War series. Is it possible that we're going to have a Yakuza Tactics Total War city management, also groups of guys running through the streets type of game? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. As much as fun as that would be to watch, I don't think so.
Another one is that Sega does own the publishing rights to Sakura Wars, the medieval fantasy steampunk mech series that's also a melodramatic dating simulator. So are we going to get Ichi and Kiryu and all of Gojo, what's his name? Majima?
Yeah.
In an isekai? Are they going to get isekai'd into a mech land? Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
You know, Project Crosszone's the thing, so
yep, never say never.
Never say never on that one.
I personally think that it's just a spin-off tactics game. They've already done a turn-based RPG, so
might as well, yeah.
Maybe a phone game. Probably a phone game.
It sounds more like a phone game title than anything else.
Where you got to recruit people and then add them to squads, and you got to get your squad number above the other squad number.
Yeah, because this is how Mafia works, Jeff.
Yeah. So, probably that. But I don't know. Maybe it'll be something fun.
It'll be like Simpsons Tap Out, big old city.
Yes. Let's see. I'm not sure why I put things in specific order sometimes.
Probably, I don't know either, to be honest, in this one.
So Warner Brothers came out with an earnings call. Michael, I don't know if you read this story.
I read the title of it earlier, but I didn't go deep into it.
So the failure of Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. Warner Brothers Games division profits are down 40% this year as opposed to last year.
I'm not surprised by this, though.
Yeah.
Not because Suicide Squad killed the Justice League did badly, but because Hogwarts did so well.
Yeah.
That the only other way they could have matched what they did prior to, like you said, that year, is that it would have had to have sold that much.
Yes.
But here's the secret, guys. They don't make a lot of Harry Potter games anymore.
Nope.
But where they make a million DC related things, period, kind of thing. So the market is saturated when it comes to superhero stuff.
Yeah.
Compared to Harry Potter stuff.
I'm more confused about the idea that their eggs were so far into that basket.
Oh, that basket was fucking filled.
That that the failure of this one game has dropped their earnings by 40%. I recognize what you said, that Hogwarts Legacy sold better than a lot of people expected.
Yeah.
And that it may have been naive for them to have thought that Rocksteady's next game, for the first time they showed us Suicide Squad kills Justice League, a lot of people were just like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't even need to see anymore. I'm already out. And then the more they showed, they were like, I was out already, but I'm running away from the building right now.
They're like, I know how much you love that. Let's show more. I'm like, stop doing this. You're just shooting yourself over and over. I'm watching a man kill themselves multiple times somehow. It's like that the Hadakati in one of the Mortal Kombat games. If you did it fast enough, you could do it multiple times.
Oh yeah.
So you just kept killing yourself over and over again. It was like that, but for a game developer.
Yeah. What's weird to me though is that, okay, let me say, it is both somewhat surprising that they put all that they had such high expectations for this without reading any of the tea leaves. Also though, Michael, it's not the least bit surprising because Warner Brothers has no fucking idea. The Warner Brothers is like Konami, where they have access to some of the best franchises in the globe, and they just do nothing with them.
No, they keep we haven't even heard anything about that Wonder Woman game.
Nope.
That was announced 2-3 years ago at this point. We have one trailer.
Yep.
And that's it. And it's just her posing.
Yep.
And it's what are you guys doing?
Well, and the thing is that they should have greenlit a Wonder Woman game after the first movie did well. Yeah. And then, I know that what was 84 was the second one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that killed everything. But everybody had Wonder Woman fever between the first one and 84 until that train wreck of a weird piece of garbage came out.
It's a terrible fucking movie. It's got a great trailer, but it's a terrible movie.
but it's just amazing to be like, you guys you're just sitting on, like, look at the roster in Multiverses and think about how many games there are there. Game of Thrones games, DC Universe games, Looney Tunes games, like Scooby-Doo game. Like, you guys have it all, and you're just like, what if we picked the least likable characters that were made to be the least likable characters and made one game with the least likable characters in the entire our whole portfolio of stuff, and then put that out at a point in a game type that nobody wants anymore.
Yeah, at a point, and your objective is to kill all the characters people would rather be playing as. And it frustrates me. And I don't know if you have the news story, but like they might be learning a little lesson on it.
Well, the thing I think this is probably from last week about how like the current season has them like rescue the Flash. As part of the end of it. And so there's a good possibility that like part of the whole season thing is that eventually the story will keep moving forward and you will rescue a lot of the surviving Justice League members.
I think I told you that off mic too, that exact thing, because they did a data mining thing. Data mined the game, and they found audio files of them like rescuing people. Like the heroes again.
Yeah.
Like the idea is that like maybe they were all just like all the ones that you're fighting are just clones.
Yes.
Which is like, and they were all just like hidden somewhere.
Yeah.
And
which the thing is,
it was just somehow twice as annoying to me.
Well, the thing that's annoying to me is that it was like, I don't think that's a bad idea, because I didn't hate the game as much as everybody else. I had a good time. I thought the action was pretty fun. Whatever. It's just, I'm not tired of the Suicide Squad at this point. I'm kind of all in with Suicide Squad.
No, I love the characters. The game type itself is what I didn't like.
The problem is that if at the end of the game, like, your plan was that you needed me to buy in to a full season of grinding expansions in order to see the actual end of the game, well, no. Yeah. I'm going to look up the end of the game on YouTube, and I'm going to give you my middle finger. Like, fuck you. Like, that,
Yeah, that was one of the biggest issues I remember that people said after it came out, because they're like, well, I just want to see how it ends.
Right.
And then the ending is like, great, you killed Brainiac. Now there's 11 more Brainiacs or something like that.
Yeah, in the multiverse.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, well, and then the problem is, like, if you got to the end of the game and it was kind of like there are 11 more Brainiacs, here are the portals to go to them, that's fine. But it was like, there are 11 Brainiacs, you can get to one. The next one will come next month when the first season starts. And it's like, guys, I'm not going through 11 seasons with you.
Yeah.
Like, I have other shit to do.
And then not only that, when they finally came out with one of the seasons where you fought a Brainiac, it was just him using a specific character's power. It was doing one of the boss fights again.
Yep.
But it was Brainiac.
It was the Avengers thing where it's just like, you've got 4 boss fights. Here's boss fight number 2 with a different skin on it. So
it frustrates me so much because there's so much potential in that game.
Yep.
And just like, I don't know, it frustrates me a lot. But
I agree.
But I don't know if you have the news story where they announced that they want to maybe let other developers use their properties.
No.
Yeah, I saw that, I want to say yesterday.
Warner Brothers does?
Yeah, they're finally like, well, maybe we should let other developers like rent our properties, essentially.
License
them for us so you can make money for us. I'm like, why didn't you do this to begin with?
Yeah.
Stupid fucks.
Yep.
But yeah, I didn't look too deeply in it, but that was the headline I saw.
Well, Warner Brothers might not be making money on Suicide Squad Kills Justice League, but they're going to be that sweet, sweet Roblox money, because apparently if you need a ticket to Beetlejuice, you can buy it in the Beetlejuice area official licensed adventure sub-game inside of Roblox.
Can you use your Robux or whatever the fuck they are?
Robux?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
That's fucking crazy.
But apparently, yes, you can like go to a kiosk inside of the Beetlejuice zone in Roblox that has been made to promote the movie, and you can literally buy your tickets through it. And why in the world would you do that when there's like Fandango as a website? Like, if I wanted Beetlejuice tickets, I would just purchase them.
Well, not only that, like, does it give you like a list of theaters? Like, am I going to go to Roblox and be like, do you have the Draft House on your list? Because I'm not going to those other places.
Yeah.
Like shit like that. Like, and also like they're mostly kids on there. Like, are kids just buying random tickets to movies that they haven't told their parents about?
Michael, everybody knows that 8-year-olds are into. Everybody knows that 10-year-olds are into the movie that came out when I was 10, Beetlejuice. They can't wait for the sequel starring, a bunch of old actors from the 80s and Wednesday Addams. So
yeah, they're super excited.
Yep. Okay, how about a Roblox story that I like better than that one? Turkey has just banned Roblox entirely from their entire country. What was the quote that they had where they were just like, they basically just said, yeah, here it is. According to our Constitution, our state is obligated to take the necessary measures to ensure the protection of our children. It is everyone's duty to look out for, protect, and support the best interests of our children. So we're shutting down Roblox, basically. Like,
I can't blame them.
Of course not.
Because one of the other things about Roblox, a lot of people forget about this, is that you can monetize things that the kids are able to make in the game.
Yep.
That people can buy.
Yep.
And that's just, and the terms of it are like really shady.
Yep.
Which is one of the reasons why I get their reasoning, because that is very exploitative.
They also have a real problem with like predators.
Yes.
Because it's a whole service set up for children, and like it is huge. So it is difficult to moderate that large of a service for everybody. So
I always think of that fucking. Did we talk about it? That Kardashian thing? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
That always cracks me the fuck. If you guys don't remember, look that up, because it was one of the funniest things that I'd heard ever happened on that fucking thing.
It's good. Roblox is legitimately bad and should be shut down or regulated. Like, I keep trying to tell people about it, and everybody's like the weird Lego ripoff thing, and it's like you don't understand. They're like fucking up kids real hard. Like,
that's the funny thing about it, is that when I discovered Roblox was a thing, I thought it was a really shitty game from the outside, and it is, don't get me wrong. Once you actually play the game, it's still kind of a shitty game, but it's a lot more intricate than I realized. And then it got even more intricate, but then it got way more exploitive the longer it went on, because nobody was paying attention to it.
Yeah,
because it was Roblox. It wasn't the big name thing, so people were allowed to get away with a lot of weird shit.
It's weird to me because it's not a secret that there are like legitimately exploitative and dangerous things about Roblox, and people get all bent out of shape about the children. We must protect the children. And it's like, what about over there? What are you looking at this? I'm pointing right at it. Like, can you not go do something about that? And then it's like, well, Josh Hawley is gonna wants to pass sweeping legislation to make every video game that isn't safe for an 8-year-old illegal. And I'm like, no, not that. Like, go take care of these assholes.
You're doing this wrong. Like, I legitimately have actual concerns about games that the children are playing.
Yeah.
But you're not paying any attention to.
Yes.
Nobody gives a shit about Call of Duty.
Yes.
No 10-year-old really, like, even if a 10-year-old's playing Call of Duty, it's not going to fuck them up that much. Like, it's just a normal shooter.
Yeah.
But these games are literally like super, super exploitative.
Yeah.
And a lot of weird people are like preying on children in many ways. Not just like the way that term is used, but monetarily wise, and it's fucked up.
It is. It's real messed up. Go watch there was a No Clip documentary about it. It's fucked up.
Full of plagiarism too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we can do this. Game Informer shut down.
This kind of bums me out, but at the same time, they hung in there way longer than they would have normally.
Oh God! What they said that it was like in 2022, it was like the number 3 magazine in the United States.
Yeah,
and obviously that's because of the bullshit high pressure GameStop. You get it with your club membership.
Yeah, it was attached to a membership.
Yeah,
like this is the reason because I'm like, look, it sucks that a bunch of people lost their jobs, but there was no way that if magazine would have survived without that attaching it to a game membership.
Yes.
It would have died ages ago. Like every other gaming magazine did at that point.
Apparently it was started in 1991 by
it was
Funko Land.
It was one of the oldest. It was the oldest one up until it ended.
Yep, as an in-house newsletter, and then when GameStop basically purchased Funko Land, they took it over as Game Informer. They turned it into a thing to try to get you to buy. Because you know what? I'll be honest. There are a few times where back before I was so staunchly anti-GameStop, I bought the membership with GameStop.
I had it too, yeah,
because it was pretty cheap, and Game Informer was one of the reasons. It was a good magazine.
There were also some really awesome, not just articles, but like the covers they
cover
got.
stories, cover arts. And,
I remember the Alex Ross. They had like an Alex Ross art for Spider-Man PS4.
Yep,
I loved it. Like it was really cool that it kept giving us stuff that we wouldn't have gotten normally, and there's something quaint about having like a physical magazine in your hand too.
Yeah. You got it at your house every month, just like the old days, just like when Nintendo Power was a thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, they axed it. They also axed it like I don't know why companies can't just that meme from the Babadook of just like, why can't you fucking be normal?
Yeah.
Like they did the same thing where like the people that worked there found out that it had been dissolved on Twitter. Like they didn't send out like an email of just
that
like,
keeps
hey,
happening.
Thanks for all your hard work. They just like locked the door and threw everything out on the street. And they were just like, get the fuck out of here.
That's what happened to Bungie apparently.
Yeah. But, Game Informer is just a meme star. GameStop is just a meme stock now. So
that's the only reason it survived was the meme stock.
Who gives a shit? It's a Funko Pop bullshit store. I can buy physical copies of stuff off of Amazon or anywhere else. But, yeah, it's a real shame. Game Informer was actually... I'll pimp myself. I think that you used it when you were writing articles. I used it for digging up news every week.
Yeah,
it was one of the links
reliable.
that I used. They were great for just like announcement stuff. I will say I don't feel like they had a lot of hard hitting journalism that was happening at least on the site. But
they didn't really need to, because what they were more of a. They were a promotional news thing where people would be like, "Hey, tell us about your game."
Yeah,
in ways that like no normal person could just walk up to a game developer and have an interview with them.
Yeah,
like they were the last really intricate interviews that you could get. And like you said, it wasn't hard hitting, but it was still intricate enough that it was interesting.
Apparently, also there were like a lot of game journalists like went through Game Informer. It would be like a perfect onboarding to games journalism as a career. Like through there.
Game journalism is one of the hardest careers, A, to get into, B, to keep,
right,
and C, to make interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're just about out of time, so let's lightning round through here. Valve seems like it's working on a new Half-Life game that isn't VR.
I heard about this.
Yeah.
In the weirdest way.
How did you hear about it?
Well, apparently some actor just randomly let something slip or something. He doesn't know anything about the internet.
Oh.
Something like that. I can't remember.
Well, okay. Yeah. A listing on the Valve game codename Project White on White Sands on a voice actor's website. Didn't reveal who the actor was playing, and it's been scrubbed. But it seems like it was real, and Valve is using White Sands as a code name. A lot of people have started doing data mining into the source engine and found like references to stuff. It seems like what they're putting together something. It's so weird because it's like what the character in. Okay, so White Sands was linked to a thing called codenamed HLX. In HLX, a character in HLX wears an HEV suit, goes quote unquote off world at some point, and encounters things that look like quote unquote storks. There's also like listings for Zen jellyfish and Zen swoopers, which Zen being the alternate dimension from Half-Life. Is it possible that Valve is and apparently this has been going on for like a while. Like it's a project that's been in development for a little while. Is it possible that somewhere in the Valve headquarters somebody is actually making Half-Life 3?
Yeah, is this the actual confirmation? Like, is this the meme come to life finally?
Well, because Half-Life, Valve, right? Like, it wouldn't surprise me if it was just like March of next year. They're like, here's Half-Life 3. It's out.
I generally wouldn't be surprised.
Do whatever. We don't give a fuck. Now get off our backs. we'll never make a Half-Life 4. The end.
I'd be cool with that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel like Gabe Newell's like, I'm dying. I must come out with this.
Yeah. So
he's getting up there in age.
Indeed. Let's see. We got the DLC roadmap for Star Wars Outlaws, including a couple of big DLCs. One of them is called Veilguard, and will apparently be about setting up a Sebek game with one Lando Calrissian.
Oh, that's fun.
And then another one is called A Pirate's Fortune, that apparently is going to have them run into the pirate Hondo Onaka.
That sounds familiar.
Apparently a character from like Rebels or some of the other things.
I'd have to see their face.
It's like one of the he's one of those weird looking guys. I was gonna say, as if that would like make any sense.
Oh,
one of these guys.
I know who that is. Yeah, okay. Cool.
So yeah,
he was originally from Rebels.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm still I haven't seen any big red flags for Outlaws yet. I'm still looking.
Not yet. The thing is, I'm going to wait until the game comes out.
Yeah,
and see what the reviews say before I ever end up getting it, kind of thing.
Yep. Prison Architect 2 is indefinitely delayed.
Oh, what happened?
Well, apparently they were having performance / target, like hitting their target issues. It was supposed to be out in March of this year, but then it got pushed back. And apparently, this is Paradox Interactive. And the most common story out there is that they saw what happened with City Skylines 2 and went like, no, let's not shove out another half-baked game with a niche beloved audience that will then like grab the pitchforks and torches and come after us.
Like a great idea, guys.
Yeah.
Don't fucking do it.
So they're refunding people who bought it on their website. Any refunds through platforms like Xbox or PlayStation will have to go through those platforms. But it is currently on indefinite delay until they figure out whether they can make things work or not. And then last but not least, before we go on break, there was an episode of, it was like the Suda 51 talking to Shinji Mikami on the Grasshopper Direct.
Oh, okay.
And they basically both came out and said that they were both really interested in making a follow-up to Killer 7. But before they do that, they want to see if they can get Killer 7 on other platforms, like in a place where people can play it easily on modern systems, which would be really nice.
I would love that. Killer 7 is one of those games that the second I saw it, I was like, I have to play this fucking game.
Yep.
And we owned it when I was younger, and I was like, this game is hard because I didn't know what I was doing. It was because it's such a weird fucking game.
It is very strange.
But once I realized what I was doing, it's like, this game's fucking great.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I wish more people understood how good that game is.
One of the weirdest games
100%.
I've ever played in my life.
100%.
It's on rails, for God's sake.
Yeah.
But
like weird
rails.
Weird rails.
Very weird rails. Yeah. So yeah, apparently the both of them have had like ideas for years about like where to take the story next, but just, they've been busy with other things. But
yeah, which makes sense. That and Killer 7 wasn't exactly gangbuster selling at the time.
Yes.
They had a great promotional time at the time.
I think it would work if they could get the game remastered and put out somewhere where people can play it, and then use that as a
PC
springboard.
right now, right?
I think so. Is it on PC?
Yeah, I remember. Didn't you guys do a?
Did we do it at one point? I thought so.
Because I could swear it's like on Steam or something.
Yeah, it's on Steam. Okay. Yeah, so you can still get it on Steam. 2018, it came out on Steam. November 2018.
Oh shit, that was a long time ago.
Yep. So yeah. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and take a break. We come back. We got trailers and a few more things left to go. Stick around. I'm still not dead.
No.
Still alive.
Not yet.
Still alive. Who knows? These trailers may be the thing to do me in. But let's just jump in because we got a lot of them this week. Our first one is we got a Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom Traversing Hyrule trailer.
Neat.
I don't know if you saw this one, but
I didn't. I meant to watch it, but I didn't get a chance to.
This kind of just goes over like all the different areas in Hyrule, which is pretty fun. Gerudo Desert and all the fucking Zoras and the rock dudes and all that stuff. It did talk a little bit about some new things that we hadn't seen before. One of them was like you getting side quests from people. There's like waypoints that you can go between.
Nice.
And you have a horse, so you could like conjure a like a carrot on the ground, and it'll summon your horse, and your horse can run through smaller enemies and jump up like certain types of things in the environment.
Have we ever had a horse character for these types of Zelda games?
No, for the top-down isometric, I don't believe so.
I never played the Link's Awakening remake, so I don't think they've.
Yeah, I don't know about that one either. Apparently, you can also make smoothies.
That's fun.
Give you like, so they're kind of bringing in a little bit of like the cooking mechanics from the Breath of the Wild series. They also talked about how you can change your outfit. There's different like outfits, different like armors that
cool.
do different things.
Like more ability ideas.
Yeah, which is pretty fun.
That is kind of fun.
They also have a new skill they showed off called Bind, where basically you can choose an item in the world and then bind that item to the movement of Zelda. So it's like the example they show is a giant boulder, and then when you hit it with this bind ability, when you move, it moves the boulder the same way that you move. So you can, move it out of the way and stuff like that. And you could do it to like, you can pick up treasure in the ground. You can do it to enemies. They show like hitting an enemy with it and then just like putting them off a cliff, which is pretty fun. You can also do it with the stuff that you summon. So they show summoning like a little spike ball and then using it to just like smash dudes. But then you can also reverse that with a thing called Bond, where like if you hook yourself to an item in the world like a bird, and then as the bird flies, it kind of drags you along with it from where you did the bound.
This game's way more intricate the more I find out about it.
Yeah, like they show like using a spider with that ability to like crawl up like different like environments and stuff.
So neat.
Yeah, it's some interesting stuff. And then they kind of have an example of like kind of using all that stuff together. Outside of that, I think it was mostly just some story stuff. Oh yeah, they talked about these like the like rifts that you're going to be able to go into, but they didn't like specify kind of what's going on there. I don't know. This one made me more excited than like just the announced trailer, because it seems like there's a lot more verbs that you have outside of just the like summon a thing.
Well, the only things we were told before that, like make beds appear. It's like, that's neat, I guess.
Right.
Like that's why the memes were just like her using chairs and tables to beat up people.
Yeah.
But knowing that there's even way more intricate stuff about that you can do, it makes it much more interesting.
Yeah.
It reminds me when we found out about all the stuff you could do in Breath of the Wild as well as Tears of the Kingdom with all the tools you got.
Right.
Except that's your main way of doing things instead.
Yeah. I don't know. This makes me much more interested than I was before. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see. From there, speaking of Zelda, we got the announcement at the THQ Nordic showcase that Darksiders is coming back, baby.
Yeah, it is. I found this out because Matt had posted about it.
Yeah, he sent it to me.
Oh, really?
Like just like really, really excited, and it's just kind of a teaser with the rocks, just kind of rocks inside of like a volcano looking place, and then it kind of zooms out, and it's the three giant heads that yell at you in Darksiders, say like "Horsemen arise." Now, I'm a little torn because this is being made by Gunfire, and like I didn't like Darksiders 3 as much as I liked Darksiders Genesis.
No one liked Darksiders 3 as much as they like the other ones.
Yeah,
which is a shame, to be honest, because that was a game that people were looking forward to very much.
However, Gunfire really turned it around for me because I really liked Remnant 2.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So Remnant 1 I didn't really get into all that much because that first boss kicked my ass so hard.
That game was very difficult. Like it was so difficult that it was almost unfun for a lot of people.
Yeah. And Darksiders 3 I think leaned into a lot of the difficulty spike stuff, which was one of the reasons why I didn't like it quite as much as some of the other games.
That's what I heard too on that one.
But then I really liked Remnant 2. So I don't know. Gunfire is not on my shit list. I would have preferred if Airship Syndicate was making it, but like I know that wasn't really the plan. So,
well, I think based on the track record that's with Remnant and Remnant 2, I'm hoping it's one of those things where they just need a chance to do it first, and then the next one's always better than what they came up with before.
Well, and then I'm also hoping that this is like the end of the franchise. This is the conclusion.
That's the hope, at least.
Like I really don't want to like keep dragging this shit out. Like, we were supposed to be done with this a long time ago.
Yeah, usually when you make a third of a game, usually the third is the end of whatever sport you were doing.
Yeah.
But it just keeps going on.
Well, all four horsemen have now had their own individual game, so it's now time to get them together into the finale. So to finally pick up where we left off at the end of Darksiders 1.
Yeah.
All those years ago.
It's kind of crazy it's been this long.
We also had a bunch of other stuff from the THQ Nordic Showcase. They're remaking Gothic, the kind of medieval fantasy, dark fantasy game that was like a big hit with like is a real cult classic. That's what I'm trying to think of.
I thought you were going to say it was a big hit with goths.
I wish. Apparently, it's got like a really intricate world that kind of like works in a very specific way.
Oh, okay.
It's a thing that it's got a very immersive world. It's this kind of like really dingy world where every criminal is sent to work in this like magic ore mine, and you're like a criminal, and you've got to decide like what you want to do. And there's a lot of different factions and stuff.
I assume this was a PC game originally, right?
Yes. The weird thing about this is that this remake, and I'll be honest, like everything I'm seeing from here looks pretty good. Like it looks like they took this old kind of janktastic old game with some kind of scuzzy graphics and they put it into like, modern Unreal Engine where it looks good. The weird thing about this one is that it's being made by a company. Like, it's obviously been in development for a while. Like, it's not just getting started, but it's being made by this company called Alkema.
Okay. I was wondering how you said that.
And what's strange about it is that the original Gothic was made by Piranha Bytes, who Embracer liquefied.
I didn't even think about that.
And it was like, so I guess instead of them remaking their own game, some third-party developer is remaking their game, and they meanwhile just like got axed, and they they've already started up a new studio to try to make a new franchise. But I don't know.
No, it sucks, but like if that happens every now and then, or somebody who made this game that's big for somebody, and then they're no longer around. When after somebody's like, "Hey, let's revive it,"
right?
Which is a shame because it means you never get the old team that make the sequels usually, if it does well enough.
Yeah, it's a weird thing that like I think most people wouldn't know unless they were paying really close attention to gaming news.
Yes, like I had no idea this this existed, and two, I forgot. Actually, I don't even think I knew what Gothic was.
Yeah,
I'm not going to pretend that I knew what it was at any point.
I've never played it, or I might have played it. I keep forgetting if the sequel was the one that had Judas Priest in it.
Actually, I might have known about that. To be honest, that sounds familiar.
But I don't know. This looks pretty good. Like, the graphics and everything, it looks real smooth. The faces and the people are pretty good. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be all right. Maybe maybe the Piranha Bytes folks get some kickbacks from it or something. We also had a trailer for The Eternal Life of Goldman, which is a very weird game. The announcement trailer is this kind of hand animated thing about this very like harsh world full of like peril and like horrible shit, and apparently it's like, but there's only one man who can help, and it's just like this old man called Goldman, and it's like a 2D platformer with this kind of old, he looks like, I can't tell because he's very far away
from the distance,
from the screen. But what it reminds me a lot of, Michael, is in a strange way, because he's got like a cane and he uses the cane to like jump on people. It reminds me a little bit of the DuckTales NES game.
Well, because he's bouncing off of it too,
right?
But he's got like other little shield power looking thing or something like that.
I have no idea what the hell is going on in this trailer, or if it's like part of some kind of franchise that I don't know about.
I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it before, but the animation in it is very nice, and it looks like a pretty decent kind of Metroidvania sort of 2D side-scrolling adventure type of game.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I might try to keep an eye out for The Eternal Life of Goldman. And I don't know if it's Goldman or Goldman.
Yeah, that is a hard thing.
He's
to
not Phil
out.
Spider-Man. He's the Spider-Man. He's not Goldman.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very weird. Very weird. Let's see. Titan Quest 2 got a trailer. I had forgotten Titan Quest 2 was still in development.
I forgot too, to be honest. Yeah, completely forgot.
As near as I can remember, Titan Quest was like a Diablo style game, but it was like Roman themed. So it was like a kind of everything, all the monsters and all the characters and stuff all had a vaguely like Roman tinge to them. You know, if they're making a more traditional Diablo style game and people aren't vibing hard on Diablo 4 because Blizzard keeps taking away their one-hit 30-level kills, this might do very well. It looks very much like a Diablo game.
It does. But with color.
Yeah, with a little bit more style, since it's less like dark fantasy and more of this kind of like Roman Empire kind of looking stuff. So, and then last we got the there's going to be a new game from Tarsier Studios. This is the makers of Little Nightmares 1 and 2. And the trailer for it was just this giant pig whose guts fall out, and then he says he's like they're coming, run, and then like kind of waddles away. We don't have any real information outside of that, but
you could easily edit that to he just goes it's 11 and then walks away.
Right.
Sorry, popped in my head.
They're gonna have more at the opening night live for Gamescom, so we'll see more of that in a couple of weeks.
A lot of news from them.
Speaking of horrifying stuff, Dead by Daylight, we mentioned this before, is getting Dracula and Trevor Belmont as killer and hero character respectively.
It's such a weird thing to me, but this has happened before.
Yeah,
where they're like, hey, one of the survivors is now this guy who's known for mostly murdering things with their bare hands.
Yep.
But you can't, because this isn't that type of game.
Even in this teaser, it's like he reaches down and he's like, oh, my whip is gone.
He's like, oh no, whatever shall I do?
I guess I can't do anything.
Monster murderer man, Trevor Belmont.
Yeah.
But I was talking to my friends about that, or my old high school friends about it, and he's like, look, dude, he's like, we have to use Leon Kennedy and pretend that he's afraid of things.
Right.
It's like this man would murder things with his, like, by staring at it.
What the last one was Lara Croft.
Yeah.
Infamous murderer of everything she comes across. Like
the game's like, oh no, he doesn't have the whip. I'm like, cool. He's got like a million other ways to murder anything with his bare hands.
You can pick up like a sharp piece of wood. Like,
yeah, like these Belmonts are not known for being pacifists.
A steak, anything. Yeah,
it's the funniest thing about it. But like, I really like Dracula's design on it though. It's got it's like a middle ground kind of look.
It's coming at the end of this month, or no, August 27th.
It's just, man, I want my other issue with it is that somebody was bringing up the explanation for, because every one of these Dead by Daylight things has a story thing that you can read.
Sure.
And it explains that Dracula randomly reappears somewhere after a game that will never exist, which is my issue with it. Which is a lot of people don't know this, because the ending story point of Dracula in Castlevania is supposed to be 1999.
Right.
It's supposed to be this giant fucking war thing that happens.
Lords of Shadow 2?
No, it's just this. It was in the original timeline. Julius Belmont is supposed to kill Dracula in 1999, and then then eventually Aria Sorrow is made right after that. But they've never made that one fucking part.
Oh,
like it's never existed in anything. Other than backstory.
Okay.
And so it's like, it's frustrating as a Castlevania fan to be like having something else acknowledged again.
Right.
Just to be reminded that you'll never fucking see it. It's like, come on, guys. Like, that's supposed to be the ultimate final battle against Dracula, and we will never see it.
Just show me the one thing. Show it to me.
Exactly.
Let's see. From there, we got 10 minutes of Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. This was weird because it's like the actual like producer and director of the remake.
Yeah.
They were like, oh yeah, we got a lot of questions about how the game works, so we decided we would come do like a let's play, like a little thing where we showed off some of the game. And I don't know if you watched this, Michael, but most of what was in here was Frank West having different outfits on, and like you can now store different outfits. You could change outfits whenever you want, type of thing.
I wonder if you can still get, I think it was a Mega Man suit, and if I remember correctly.
Oh wait, there was one thing. Apparently, one of the outfits that you can get is classic Frank West.
Oh,
so like you can play through the game with this kind of remixed classic Frank West skin, which I thought Michael will like that.
I do, because he doesn't look that half bad there.
Because he doesn't look as, like, you think he looks real weird. I think Frank West has always looked like a goblin man, but, you know.
But he looked like a normal goblin man, where now he looks like a fucking, just an absolute fucking nightmare.
Yeah. They keep cutting away from, like, battle and showing really stupid shit instead. Like, you can pick up a sign and hit a zombie with it. And I'm like, well, I know that. He's holding a gun in this thing. Can you show me the gunplay? And it's like, nope. I'm going to hit this guy with a sign.
But every other game has guns, so why don't you see that more people kill people with signs?
They also talk about having the licensed music in there. We already got confirmation about that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else specific that I remember.
Well, it still shows the fact that you can get the little mascot heads and throw them on people.
Yeah,
I was a big fan of that.
Yeah, it's mostly just weapons now have like a durability bar, so you can tell when they're about to break, as opposed to just having them break out of nowhere.
Thank God for that.
This little green bar at the bottom. Yeah, I don't know. It was a very weird thing. It was obviously done like kind of on the fly.
Yeah, this is an on the fly ass fucking thing if I've ever seen it. Because even they're like, this is kind of neat, I guess.
Yeah, and they don't play the game very well. I don't know.
Yeah, he's just walking slowly for a lot of it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's worth watching just to kind of show some of the stuff they showed. You can have the mascot from the mall costume now that kind of wiggles around. They even laugh because they put the mascot costume on and then they triggered a cutscene where like you could see the costume clipping through the cutscene and they're just like, I guess saw some clipping there, huh? And it was like,
there's only so much they can do with that. Yeah.
Yep. So I don't know. I think this looks all right. Again, I'm not entirely down with the whole like deluxe remaster thing.
Yeah,
but
it's just the remake, and that's really all they could have said.
Yeah. Let's see, another Capcom news. We started to get some Monster Hunter Wilds videos, some real brief videos talking about some of the different mechanics of the game.
Okay.
They kind of go over some of the basics of weapons. They talked about your mount, the Secret, which apparently can do a lot of cool stuff when you're on the Secret. You can like sharpen your weapon while you're riding. You can like reach out and grab stuff so you don't have to get off of it in order to do stuff.
Thank God for that.
You can like drink potions and stuff. Also, apparently it will automatically, you could just say, take me to where the next monster I want to fight is, and it will just do that without you having to drive it, which is pretty cool. They also showed off the Slinger, which is like a little hand crossbow thing that everybody has that you can like grab stuff from the environment, put it in there to make specific like projectiles.
I remember using that in one of the games. I can't remember which one it was. I don't remember if it was in the last game or not.
Yeah,
but I remember using it a lot.
Apparently, there's also like a hook shot that you can attach to it that'll let you pick stuff up from a distance.
Okay, that's cool.
You can even do it like when you're riding, you can like grab resources from a distance or use to like pull down parts of the environment or things.
I think World is where I used it, the little crossbow thing.
Yeah, all of it seems like it's kind of continuing in the like making stuff easier to do vein of Rise.
Yeah, Monster Hunter was a game that like had a very steep learning curve originally. Like I remember after Jeff really got into Rise, I would explain to you things I used to have to do.
Yep.
And you looked at me like I was a crazy person.
Yeah, it's because that was a crazy thing to do.
And it was just like normal. To me, it was like normal things. Like, well, yeah, the paintball things, and you had to have paintballs on you to make sure you could know where they were, or you had to memorize the map to know where they were going to land. And you were like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. This is pretty cool. On the Greatsword thing, they show off that you've got a focus mode that'll show the weak points and like...
that's really cool, actually.
Weak points and injuries that the monster has taken. And then there are specific, like that move that he's doing where he drags the sword across him is like a specific focus attack that you can do that targets specifically the weak points of enemies.
That's so cool.
It looks like there's a lot, like this makes a much better impression than anything they've shown so far outside of that
100%.
the other trailer.
Like I'm actually more excited now than I was before.
Yeah, so this one goes into talking about focus mode a lot more specifically about using it to like turn, to do guards and stuff, and also to evaluate like what parts of the monster you need to hit, and then being able to line up like specific attacks. Yeah, it all looks pretty good. Like it looks like it's a good combination of the quality of life stuff that was in Rise with the graphical fidelity that was in Worlds, basically. And I'm all about that because, like, I did play through a Monster Hunter game. So, in fact, I played Rise twice because I got ready for the expansion.
You got really into it.
But then, but then the expansion came out. And by the time I got to the expansion, I'd burned myself out. So I never played any of the expansion. So, yeah. Let's see. From there, we got an extended multiplayer gameplay trailer for Space Marine 2. They showed one set that was like 3-player PvE, kind of like a mission, because you can take on like these individual missions.
Oh, okay.
So it shows fighting Tyranids with a bunch of different characters. There's like one of the jump jet Marines, and there's like a more defensive, like kind of buff / healing guy, and then like a little bit more specific, like a rote Space Marine kind of doing their thing, setting up ambushes. They've got fighting a Carnifex, one of the Gene Stealer bosses.
Oh, okay.
It's about as close as we're ever going to get to StarCraft as a third-person action game.
Pretty much, yeah.
I think it still looks incredible. Like everything I've seen from it looks absolutely dynamite.
Oh, it looks gorgeous, and I'm very happy that they finally are like, hey, you remember these giant like buff dudes? Like, why don't we make action games with them again?
Yeah.
We need more of those. Like as much as I know that the Warhammer universe is that nobody's the good guy, I'm like, yeah, but these guys are really cool.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to just like murder things with them.
The other half of this is about PvP. It was showing a match of the 8v8. Well, actually, first they had kind of a holdout thing where you're just kind of slaughtering a whole horde of Gene Stealers waiting for like a big orbital strike to come down. But then, yeah, they also showed the kind of Chaos versus Space Marines kind of multiplayer, which seems like a third-person multiplayer. I'm always a big fan of these when they first get started before everybody knows what they're doing.
Oh yeah, I love when that happens because it's such a fun time when there's nobody like being like, well, if you do the XYZ thing that you can counteract the things. Like, I don't fucking care, dude. Just point me at him so I can shoot him.
Right. So yeah, looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun.
Let's see. From there, we got another Concord Free Gunner Adventures short.
Neat.
Boy, they're really pushing the Concord. This one was more about like this kind of the 3-person group that were they kind of trying to deliver a package, and then one of them gets a lot of static, and then they get in a fight, and kind of going into the backstory of some of the different characters. It was all right. It was like, 2-minute little animation thing with kind of 3D animation. This one I think was better than the last one because the last one was in the middle of like a midday environment, so everything was kind of washed out, whereas this has a lot more like shadows and stuff going on. I don't know. Is there any way that Concord actually works, Michael?
I don't know. The problem is that it's a multiplayer game that has a bunch of really cool concepts that will never be explored the way you want them to. Right. And that's always been my issue with these multiplayer games. Like this, the first Overwatch game, like I kind of want more. Like every time you show me stuff like this, like it makes me annoyed that it's not just a adventure type game instead. Right. So yeah. And somebody was reminding me recently that even the story stuff set up in Overwatch 1's like really cool cinematics. Yeah. None of that shit ever pays off for most of them.
Not really.
Like somebody's like, hey, did you know that Hanzo never really talks to Genji in the entirety of all of the games? And I'm like, are you serious? And it just never occurred to me that they never did anything again with it.
The Omnics and the Black Watch and all that stuff.
It's all bullshit.
Yep. Well, speaking of some bullshit, Fall Guys is in Fortnite now?
Yeah, I saw this pop up on the quests when I was fucking around with it.
So some of the characters have basically Fall Guys skins inside of Fortnite, and then I had to look it up. There's a number of different like islands that are specifically Fall Guys challenges that you can do. So you can now play Fall Guys inside of Fortnite, but only a little bit. And I'm like, well, at this point, guys, why not just put the whole thing in there? Like,
Yeah,
you're just cannibalizing everything.
Should have been the opposite. Just make Fortnite skins and Fall Guys.
Yeah.
Like, that would have made more sense.
It's kind of amazing that they're able to do that. I don't know. I guess, you shovel enough money into the Fall Guys coffers, they'll let you do whatever you want.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, let's see. Star Wars Hunters has a new map, and everybody was on the edge of their seat thinking about it.
Yeah, everybody loves Star Wars Hunters.
It's the Vader's Castle map, but it's also like a stadium, like it's a replica. It was so weird because I was watching it. They were just kind of showing it off. They're showing off the various kind of like Empire-themed livery that you can get for various characters. But then towards the end, there's like a shot of this where it's like they showed that there's just a giant screen.
Oh, what the fuck?
So like it's literally like an arena that was built to resemble Vader's fortress.
That's interesting.
As opposed to being the actual thing on Mustafar, which I'm like,
which would make some sense. Be like Vader coming home, be like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Right? Who's having
scatter? It's the fuss.
Who's having the X Games in my living room? Yeah. Let's see. Ghost Runner. Speaking of new maps, Ghost Runner 2 now has the Endless Moto mode. I don't know if there was like a motorcycle part in Ghost Runner 2.
Apparently there was.
But now there's like an endless version of it that's like a racing on a motorcycle kind of Wipeout XL, don't crash and go real fast
It looks pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Very difficult looking though.
Yeah, apparently it's well, it seems like it's like a one-hit kill type of thing, and then just real mind-bending. Like I couldn't play this. Like I would never get past the first level.
It's freaking me out just looking at it. Yeah,
but that's coming out September 5th. Let's see. Persona 3 Reload got a trailer for The Devoted Sister, the DLC that we all knew was coming, where they're adding in Metis, who I believe was a character from Persona 3 originally.
Oh yeah, I think she was in the
in the DLC.
I think she was part of the expanded version of it.
Yeah, where she was like a robot sister to the other robot lady that's in the game.
Yeah, I think that was the idea. It's been a long time since I played Persona 3, and it's the extended version of it.
It's so weird how they're adding so much to Persona 3, but not the female main character.
Yeah, that is the weirdest fucking thing they could have not done.
Like, you guys are obviously spending like a lot of time and effort on this, and yet that's the one thing that you just won't do for some reason. So
there's an easy joke there, but I'm just not going to do it.
Yep. Let's see. This just makes me sad. The Reincarnated as a Slime Isekai Chronicles launched. They had a launch trailer for it.
Oh, this thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you were so bummed when they announced this.
I'm still bummed. It's one of my favorite animes. I love it. I think it's great. They're in such a great place where they've got a lot of like open space to put in like side adventures that would have happened, and it looks like butthole. It just looks like total phone game ass, and I don't want to. I thought about buying it to put it on RageSelect, but it was like that was just going to make me sad. So
no, I get it.
We're going to launch trailer for Cat Quest 3, the pirate one. It is already out, and it looks pretty amazing if you're into Cat Quest.
It happened so fast to me.
Yeah, like it was announced like Summer Games Fest or something like that.
And it just popped up.
Bam, done, out.
Like I feel like we did 2 not even that long ago. Although, time is a weird...
Did we do 2?
We did do 2 at one point, because I remember us playing it being like, look at all these cats and mice and shit.
Yeah.
And it was a while back, yeah.
Yeah, so that's out if you want to play it. Black Myth Wukong got its final trailer. That game's going to be out in like a week.
Oh, wow. It's finally coming out.
Yep. Still looks kind of like... The thing with Black Myth Wukong is that they've been... There's not much to say about this trailer that I haven't already said about all the other trailers, which is that it looks real good.
No.
And I'd be interested in playing it. So it's got a lot of interesting iconography that's all about, the Monkey King and that whole shibaz. So
it's a very popular tale.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. What is the actual release date? August 20th?
Oh, that's super soon.
So not next week, but the week after. And it comes out on a Wednesday, or on a Tuesday, which means that you and I will be playing it. So,
nice.
Yeah, there we go. We got some Rock Howard gameplay from Michael over here.
I'm rubbing my hands
from the Fatal Fury City of Wolves. What do you got to say about Rock Howard? I'm sure you watched this already.
He looks cool as shit, but that's because I'm a big fan of these games.
Is that Geese Howard's son?
It is, because Terry felt so bad that he accidentally got his dad killed, falling off of a building, that he raises Geese's son.
Okay.
But there's I'm such a big fan of these characters, and I can't fucking wait. He looks fucking rad as hell, and they've never looked fucking so good.
So many combos, so many special moves.
God, I'm so excited for this game.
So much energy.
When is this out again?
Oh, Mark of the Wolves.
Yeah. Did they come out with a release date yet?
Say, rev it up, unleash your fury, City of Wolves. Early 2025.
Okay.
Not this year. So cool your jets a little bit.
I wish it was. Too many things coming out either way, so.
There's going to be a demo. There's actually already a demo out for that gory, cuddly Carnage game. One about the cat on a hoverboard slashing unicorns in the face.
Okay.
That we saw at Gamescom. It looks a little bit less good here than it did in the trailer at Gamescom or at Summer Games Fest.
I forgot about this.
Yeah. But it also still looks like an ultra-violent game where you get to massacre unicorns. So I'll give it a try.
Yeah, I'll give anything like this weird a try.
Nothing wrong with give it the old college try. Who could say? And then let's see.
Like it could be fun either way.
What else do we got here? Oh, yeah, we got the release date for the A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead, the Quiet Place game that we only found out about like a month ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that we found out about it.
Which it seems really weird is not made to coincide with either a new movie or the home release of the movie, which happened like last week.
Very strange.
October 17th. Who can say?
I generally think A Quiet Place is a weird premise to begin with.
Well, I think it could make for an interesting game because you could have a lot of mechanics about like not making noise.
That's true. That is more interesting than watching people do that in a movie type thing.
Than watching audio televisual actors not do one of the two things you want them to do.
Yeah. And then because it brings up a lot of questions that I know people keep bringing up, which is like, how do they know the sound is something that's not themselves?
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of it's one of those things that like if you think long enough about it, you're like, this doesn't make any sense.
True. Well, hey, if you want something you can play right away, Doom and Doom 2, QuakeCon is going on, and they put Doom and Doom 2 on Game Pass.
Oh, nice.
And it's like kind of a remastered edition. It's got like a remastered soundtrack that doesn't sound like it's coming out of MIDI. It does 60 and 120 frames per second, and it's got a Doom 2 new single-player episode made by id and Night Dive called Legacy of Rust.
I'm a big fan when companies make new campaigns to old games.
Yeah,
that was one of the reasons I bought Duke Nukem World Tour, because they also did something similar where they made a whole brand new episode thing.
Yeah, it's also got deathmatch levels and stuff as well.
Cool.
So yeah, seems pretty cool. I don't know. It needs that Pixel Doom mod on it, but other than that, it seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of Doom Eternal finally got official mod support.
Oh, nice.
Released during the QuakeCon. So, that's out there now, and you can check it out.
Yeah, apparently they came out with like some free content too that you could download.
Oh, okay.
For the game. It was weird because one of them, it makes one of the monsters look like they have the colors of Frieza, which caught me off guard.
Okay.
I was like, that's interesting.
I thought you were going to say they turned them into like anime booby girls.
No,
as the most common Doom mods that were out there.
It's just this color scheme is like he's got it's one of the big monsters. I think it's the wizard looking one.
Yeah.
He's completely white, but he's got the purple on the head and the shoulders to make him look like Frieza. And I'm like, that's interesting.
Interesting
that they did that.
Valorant kind of surprisingly came out last week on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X.
I completely forgot about that thing.
It was on the way. It's out. I thought about playing it for the show. I don't know. Maybe we'll play it at some point. It appears to just be Counter-Strike. So, but with like some hero buffs.
Oh, okay.
But it's still kind of the same like round-based thing that Counter-Strike is.
People tend to like it.
People like Valorant a fair amount. We also found out that Vampire Survivors now has a PlayStation release date. Would you believe that Vampire Survivors is still not out on PlayStation platforms, even after all this time?
I am kind of surprised by that, but at the same time, it kind of makes some sense because Microsoft had it first.
Yeah.
For a while there, too.
But yeah, August 29th, that's coming out on the PlayStation 5 and the PS4. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we got the first look at Season 2 of The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this.
And it's basically Joel talking to what's-her-face? Catherine O'Hara.
Oh, yeah.
As like a therapist. I can't help but see her as the mom in Schitt's Creek.
No, I get it. Yeah, no, I get that 100%.
They got a little bit of an action montage.
So that's neat.
Talk about, like, what did you do for her? And it's like, I saved her.
I murdered a lot of people to get her here, is all I'm saying.
Michael, I'm not interested in watching The Last of Us Part 2 because I know what happens in The Last of Us Part 2. And it's even worse than what happens, or it's even more depressing than what happens in Part 1.
It is so depressing. But my other issue that I've always had with what they did when they announced The Last of Us Season 2 was they're like, it's going to be the same woman who plays Ellie, who already looks like they're constantly 14.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, this is way later. I'm like, yeah, but they look exactly the same, and I'm going to have a very hard time taking them seriously.
Yep.
Like, it made sense to me in the last season, but not so much in this season.
Here's a very strange headline. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is coming out for last-gen consoles.
What the fuck?
It was only on current-gen consoles, but apparently on April 17th, you can buy it on the Xbox One and the PS4. And I'm sure that it's going to run really well on those systems.
That's a weird fucking thing to do.
Yeah. It makes me irrationally angry because it's like, is this what you've been fucking working on instead of fixing the PC version of this game?
This is such a stupid fucking thing.
Porting it to, I mean, I know that there are a lot of old consoles out there, right? There's a huge amount of people who still haven't upgraded, but
the game came out, what, like a year or two ago?
Something like that.
Like, who cares?
Yeah. Well, I guess people who have a PS4 who wanted to play it. I don't know.
Jesus. I hope it works, unlike the fucking last one when it came out and the other stuff.
Pepper Grinder is also out on the PlayStation and the Xbox on consoles. Yeah, the one that you and I tried desperately to want to like, and we're like,
yeah, there was some fun into it, but then it got really annoying very fast.
Yeah,
that's a shame.
Speaking of really annoying, Lollipop Chainsaw got a release date.
Oh, nice.
The Repop version of September 12th. However, people are a little miffed because it is going to be $45 at launch. It is not a remake. It is a remaster. It looks a little janky. All of the licensed music has been taken out of it,
which is a lot, by the way.
Which is a lot.
And it was one of those. It was one of those things. It's a James Gunn thing.
Yep.
So it's even more annoying because he's very intricate about his choices and things.
Yep.
So
yeah, people are not exactly feeling it, especially because they've already put out the price for Shadows of the Damned Remastered, and it's like $25.
Oh, really?
Which is more like way reasonable.
That's super reasonable. Like even more than I thought. Holy shit.
Yeah. So
that's even more annoying that this is this.
I don't know. We'll see.
That's a shame.
Cult of the Lamb is getting another big expansion that's also a digital comic. It's called the Pilgrim Comic Pack.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
That's like a it's like a choose your own adventure comic, but then it also comes with like a new recruit that you can put in there, as well as some different story stuff. But then it's also a motion comic, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that explains like what the hell do you do now? Because I was curious, what the hell do you do now?
Yeah, after sex, there's only so many other things you can do.
Yep. Balatro is getting a huge gameplay update in 2025.
Oh.
Which is pretty cool. A bunch of new stuff being added with new stuff. Sorry, I'm getting to the end here. Fading out.
Yeah, I can tell.
The guy that made the game is interesting. He put in his will.
I heard about this.
That Balatro will can never be licensed for actual money betting, like at a casino or anything like that.
Because it is a very addictive game.
Yeah.
Very quickly, and it could mess with just enough, you could easily make it an actual casino game.
Yes. Yep. And then here's a big bummer. Avowed has been pushed out of 2024 into early 2025. Not because of any technical reasons, but because the the thought is that between Indiana Jones and the expansion for Starfield, it was already pretty heavy. Avowed was supposed to be in there as well. Then Stalker slipped to November, and you didn't want to have four big Xbox things all coming out at the end of the year. So you just pushed Avowed out to be like, you guys can play some of this other stuff and not have to worry about it.
My favorite thing about that logic is that it is such a business idea logic.
Yeah.
Because it's a Game Pass game still.
Right.
So it wasn't like they're going to sell anything.
Yeah.
So if anything, it somehow makes it less interesting that way. I don't know. It's a very strange thing to do in a time where people keep saying Xbox doesn't have games still to like delay
delay one of the games that people are kind of excited about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's just weird. It's a weird fucking decision.
It very much is. And then let's wrap it up with a few fun things. First, so people got their hands on Black Ops 6 with its like Omni movement. So apparently in Black Ops 6 you can dash and dive and stuff in any direction.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But people on Twitter put out some interesting videos where they also turned on like a low gravity mod at the same time. So seeing these kind of like diving through the air, but also low gravity at the same time, if this webpage would actually load. Fucking Michael, you'll never guess, but Twitter sucks.
Twitter's like media player has been really shitting the bed lately.
Yeah.
Like my phone keeps saying just playback error over and over again, so I have to like reopen it 8 times to see one video and hope the video's still there when I open it again.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, though, to see this, like, kind of the way this works. Apparently, I was going to say that during the Zombies. Apparently, Zombies is also going to have third person as a perspective that you can play the game through. So, but yeah, these are some pretty fun videos. Not as fun, though, as one of my favorite things out there. Somebody has been doing a playthrough of Grand Theft Auto 4 where they do that thing that I think I've showed you in the past where they have all of the traffic speed modifiers turned up to 99999.
Story that way?
They're trying to play the main story while that is happening, and it's fucking amazing.
It's amazing.
And I love it. It takes them like a really long time just to get through. I should say this is Tom Walker. I was watching him play this. It legitimately made me laugh. There was a point where he got, because he's trying to go to Romans as like the first mission, and he actually got in one of the cars and then ended up flying out of bounds to the part of the city you're not supposed to be in yet. There's one part where he was I was trying to see if I could find it. There was one part where he was in the water, like he accidentally got thrown into the air, and then he came down in like the river, and he was trying to swim back, and he saw, let me see if I can find it. He was in a car.
Is it the boats thing?
Well, first he saw the boats. Yeah, all of the boats were coming. I can't see where he was. It was after one of the times
I saw somebody like they decided to do a challenge where they're like, I'm going to try to get to the airport from here, from like one of his apartments, and it was just fucking impossible because everything's going like 1,000 miles an hour, and even the actual cars he drove also were doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I think it was before this because I think I didn't go back far enough.
Like, it's always funny to watch because like people are just like
okay,
the
so
funniest part is people trying to call people.
That was it. So he's in the water and he gets close enough to the shore and he sees like all the cars are flying off into the water because they're all going so fast that when they hit a curve they just fly out over the water. And then he tries to get in a car and do it. And he's like, no, because any car that he gets into also has that same speed modifier added to it. So.
My favorite is that, like, when I watched that one guy's video, he's like, I'm going to try to call a cab, and cabs were just, like, flying at him because they just couldn't stop. It was so funny.
I absolutely love it. I love the mods that make the traffic in GTA go this fast. Like, I really wanted to do it. I actually was thinking about, like, I wonder if someday I could see if there's a mod like this that works for, like, the horses in Red Dead 2.
Oh, Jesus. That would be really fun.
But I just don't think there's as much density in Red Dead 2 as there is of traffic in GTA 4. So...
and it's, like, the most insane amounts of cars just flying past you.
Yeah. And you're just desperately trying to like find a place where you can be safe, and then like out of nowhere. They just come like flying out of nowhere.
Yeah, because the worst is there's some hospital areas that when you get out, there's nothing covering the door.
Yep.
And so just immediately get hit by like 5 cars.
Yep. It's pretty amazing.
It's fucking great.
It's pretty amazing. I love it. It's hilarious. And then last but not least, speaking of streamers, some guy's Goldfish beat the Elden Ring DLC.
Oh my goodness.
This is a he's got his goldfish set up in front of a grid, and depending on which part of the grid the goldfish is on, certain things will happen. And here's the thing: the community and him have buffed the goldfish incredibly, so it can take a lot more like damage and output a lot more damage and stuff. And then they programmed it to be like, more attacks than anything else. And apparently it took a long, long time, but eventually they got to a point where the goldfish was able to take down the boss at the end of the Elden Ring DLC.
Oh my god.
And the most amazing part is when it does it, the guy just jumps up in his chair and screams, "That's my goldfish!" Which is pretty amazing.
This is what the internet was built for.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
I can't help but love that.
Also, I should shout out, I need to do a better job of that. Point Crow is the one who did that.
Good for you guys.
I'm exhausted. We're done. That was it. Michael, you tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on oneofus.net. We do a lot of movie and television reviews. I will be watching Alien Romulus soon, so I'm going to have a review up for that eventually.
Cool. A lot of times when I get done with a podcast or a show, I say, like, I got to go lay down, but I'm like legitimately going to go lay down because my voice is kind of done. Thank you, everybody. I'll be back next week with better voice. Get the hell out of my house.